So people sitting in the back, come up front. Yeah, come on, come up front.
We're shooting video, you don't want nobody there. Come on. Yes. Come on. Come on.
Y'all know I don't like to talk to myself, so come on up. I will talk to myself, but I prefer not to. It's usually ChatGPT. I like to talk to ChatGPT too.
Come forward, come forward. I have a microphone.
I got you one.
All the information is at the front of the group, in case you didn't know. All of the information, all the education, all the money is at the front. Yeah, that's right. And there's tea in the front. There's tea and there's bagels in the front. A lot of stuff in the front of the room. Come on. Don House doesn't bite very hard anymore.
Hopefully Allison fed him. He'll be all right. Good morning, Nicole. Good morning. All right, guys, we are going to get started. We all made it through the traffic on 35, right? Let's give ourselves a round of applause. We had to buy a table just so that we could have a seat here, so I'm glad you guys all made it. Well, I am super excited about today, and I'm just coming to intro for you guys, but everyone's waiting. Hello, 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 hello. We're going to learn today about the Break It and Build It blueprint. And I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about Don Hobbs, who is the one who put this together for us today. And I don't know if you guys know this or not. I did not know that. How many of you guys have been in the industry for more than 20 years? Wow, see, you guys are going to know this. Maybe you already know. I don't know. I was very surprised and alarmed. But I had the pleasure of knowing Don for a couple of years. And I was in Scottsdale with his significant other, with Allison, and we were sitting there speaking. And we have two Dons in our life. We have a Don and a Dawn. And so we call Don often Don Hobbs. And Allison was speaking and communicating with somebody else. And I said, wait. I said, Don Hobbs is the Hobbs of Hobbs Herder. Did you guys know that? All right, and for those, yes, they already knew. I'm sorry, I was blown away. I was sitting at dinner and I was like, can we call Don and tell Don on FaceTime how shocked I am that he was the Don Hobbs of Hobbs Herder? Hobbs Herder was one of the first marketing agencies. We used to have those. It wasn't just social media for real estate. And I did not realize this, but it was started in 1986. Not to age you. It was a great year. Yeah, perfect. I was learning to walk. It's okay. I'm just kidding. But anyway, so we are so incredibly blessed that Don has moved to DFW to make this his home and is so influential that he's bringing speakers like he is today. So I've been incredibly influenced and blessed to have him here. But Don is a really big deal is what I'm getting at. I think that's what I'm saying, Allison. He's a really big deal. But Don actually started in the real estate industry at the age of 18. He worked with Jim Rohn and the young Tony Robbins. So you guys, we are really incredibly honored to have him here. He was also the top 25 most influential people in real estate and the former president of Success Enterprises. So I just thought he was a friend who helped me learn how to play pickleball, but he is not. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the microphone over to Don Hobbs. You guys give him a big warm welcome.
Too fun. Well, we are very excited to be here this morning. Good morning. We have music. I know, it's exciting. It's so exciting. Well, let me tell you this. I think it will change after this. We are, and many of you are going to be involved in social media. That's the thing, right? We all take pictures. We have all the stuff. You know, speaking of concert, so we don't have any pictures of our lifetime because we took hard copy pictures. We don't have all the stuff. So we don't have any pictures of concert or nothing. So I want you to take lots of pictures today. I want you to take lots of videos today. I want you to take lots of stuff today, day to day. And We want you to post it there so everybody can have access to everything that is done by all of you, okay? We're not just gonna like make it my pictures. We're gonna make it our pictures. We're gonna make it our videos. So grab it up, Jack. We'll put this up a couple times, but I want you guys to know that's where we're collecting stuff. So I'm excited about today because this break it and then build it conference was thought up maybe 3 months ago. And we really wanted to have something that's going to do two things. Next month, we're doing, next month, October, we're going to do a program that's going to be really leading into the new year. And when do you start the new year? When you start the new year in the old year, right? You start the new year in the last quarter of the year, and you start thinking about momentum. I see this as being the beginning of that. I see this as the beginning of that because I think truly we have to realize that we are in a place where everything we start doing now, the activities, the calls we're making, the people we're meeting, they're not closing next week. They're closing through time. We're going to gather momentum. We're going to gather speed. So right now you're creating the future. And we were blessed to be able to get this panel together, this group of people together. And you see the lineup is amazing. Tom Ziegler, Julie Alphonse, sitting right here. Tom over there. John Israel's on his way. I just talked to him a little while ago. Kristen Morellis is back there. And then Tom Knox. And we got a panel, including Brittany, who just brought us to the stage. So Brittany will introduce our panel, including my far smarter, far faster, far brighter, and far more beautiful better half who's on the stage as well. So we'll get to meet her and Nicole Russo and also Daniel Wayne, who's somewhere back there. So I want to make sure that you guys get a lot out of today, and I'll tell you what my intention is. My intention is really that we get to a place where we break old patterns. That was the whole point of breaking. We got to break old patterns. We do what we do, and we get up every day and think that that's life. But that's not life. That's the way you design life at this point. Or it's the way you haven't designed life, and it's become the evolution of how you just evolved into. It's accidental. If you've been purposeful, or you've been accidentally getting to where you are. I'm just like that. That's just the way I am. That's not true. That's the way you let yourself become. That's the way you were once raised, and you stuck with it. Everything's changeable. Now, the result of change takes time. Change takes a second. You make a decision, you make a commitment, and you change. Now it's when you keep that going, and you turn that into an ongoing thing, and you turn that into a habit. By the way, my friend Brian Johnson, when I met him, beefcake that he is, enormous arms, enormous legs, his arms are bigger than my thighs. When I met him and I said, how do you do that? Like that, or I said, or actually what I said was, how do I buy guns? Where do I buy guns like that? And he described it at the gym, which I didn't have any clue to buy stuff like that at the gym, but he did. And when he told me what it takes, 45 minutes a day to an hour and a half a day, 5-6 days a week, and he had his routine, he told me what it is. I'm like, how do you do that? That was my question. How do you do that? And he gave me the solution that will keep me stay with me always. That is, he said, it's just what I do. Now there's a writer downer if you want to take something down, because when the good things that you want, the habits that you believe are going to take you where you want, become just what you do. They become just who you are. Then everything lights up, everything's magic. Otherwise it's like, I didn't get it done today. It didn't work today, right? We can muscle through, or we can just make it something that becomes just what we do. And that's what our goal is today, is to send you into action related to breaking it first. Now I want to point some things out because quickly I want to get through the mindset. We're going to go through, today's going to be mostly mindset. There's not going to be hardly any actions to take. But the actions you're not taking are related to the things we're going to talk about today. Meaning, what are you doing to hold yourself back? What are the mindset things that don't allow you to show up in social, or do video, or do your marketing, or make calls to people? Right? Here's the script. Okay, but I'm not calling. Why aren't you calling? Because I don't feel worthy. You may not know that. You may not say that. That's why. So we're going to get into Julie Alton's bringing us confidence today. We're going to get into Chrissy Morales showing us how to have our best day so we feel empowered. right? Then we become that next level person. So this cash flow quadrant came out years ago. If you know who Kiyosaki is, he wrote a whole bunch of good books. Well, one of them is called Cash Flow Quadrant. I'm going to point to it very quickly. I want you to write down a couple notes about it. Because the four quadrants, you start with the top left, which is the E, the employee. I think everybody here is kind of moved out of that. Okay, moved out of that. Said, I'm not going to be an employee, I'm going into real estate. The challenge is for some of you, you're still acting like you're employees and you're waiting for your company to fix whatever it is that's not working. That employee mindset doesn't work in real estate because you're in business for yourself. Which, by the way, is yes, self-employed. Well, the challenge with self-employed is that you're in charge of doing everything. It's me, myself, and I. So that the words I'd like you to write down next to S is I do it. I do it. But it isn't me, it's up to me. I do it. Now, when you realize that you're in a business, I'm going to show you in a second what that means. When you're in a business, a substantial business, a high-producing, high-earning, high-profit margin business, more than a clothing store, more than a gas station, I mean, like high margins. When you realize that, what you start to also understand is that B, where you want to go, at least to B, which is the business owner. The business owner is really coming from a place of we do it. It's not just me anymore, it's me and others are doing it together. Top Turner, by the way, we had 150 employees. So we got to the I stage, which is the investment stage, we hardly did anything. Right? We'd show up 6 times a year for a big program, have all kinds of people in the room, and staff everything. So it got to the point where they do it became how we got to freedom. And for all of us, that's where we're headed. We want to get to the B, we do it. So we can take vacations and come back and things actually stay together, we didn't lose out. And then we got to get to the I stage, which is the investment stage, where I now own it all, and I'm not in charge of everything. In fact, I got people running. So that's where I wanted to make sure that you get this, because you may be acting like an employee in a highly profitable, investment-oriented business. And if you don't get that, you're in a place wrong. So here's my take on it. I believe you're in the 7-figure business, and I've said that for years. I've said that since the 90s, when people were making $1 million a year in real estate. And today, there's thousands of people making $1 million a year. Thousands. It isn't like, ooh, somebody's doing that. Today, it's not everybody, a lot of people, everywhere you go. Small town, I live in Montana. In every city, you've got people that are making $1 million a year. What I also understand is the purpose of business is to serve the life of the owner. Who's the owner of it? Who's the owner of your business? You are. So the purpose of business is to serve whose life? Now, if you have pushback on this, no, it's to serve them, their lives. Yes, but you won't serve their lives unless you serve your life. You won't. You won't get wrong. So hey, you won't do it forever. I've been helping people for a long time, but it has to serve my life. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. So then the second part is your business serving your life, or is your life really serving your business, which is how company goes out of control. I talked to a lady on Monday, and she said, I can see doing 3 deals a month, but after that it gets crazy. I don't know that I want a life like that. And I said, what if I told you I have people that are doing 400 and 500 units that have more of a life than you got? Right now at 1 and 2 units. So it's not the time, it's what you put in the time, it's the stuff that you do. This is all mindset shit. So with that in mind, we have to keep it up with the fact that it has to do with our thinking. I'm going to give you a quick diagram, and then we're going to get on and get Tom Ziegler up on the stage. You set goals. Did you set a small goal or a BHAG? You know what a BHAG is? Say it loud. A very audacious goal. Something that's well beyond. I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. A guy named Berger and I started a company, 2 people. We built it to a $25 million, 150-person company. Right? I had no idea. We didn't go that far. We didn't do it. But we started at BHAGs that were always kind of where we were. But if you set a small goal, you set a tiny goal, well, here's my question. Who's inspired to join your vision? Well, never gets to leave it because nobody wants to join that. Nobody's going to join it enough to have to pay for it. Got a small goal, I just want to have, I just do a few transactions. That's called survival. Gary Keller told me years ago, founder of Delaware, Gary Keller told me years ago when I died, and I put the word realtor on my tombstone. 11 father, 11 husband. Realtor. He said, I just learned how to sell a lot more houses. How did he do it? Through other people. In other words, your job is not to do real estate. Your job is to create real estate transactions happening for people, to inform lots of people. We do that for YouTube, we do that for our service, we do it so many ways. The bottom line is, when you realize that if you set small goals, nobody's inspired, but watch this. We think that small goals are easier because, of course, BHAGs take forever, and that would be hard. Well, now we draw a line up and we draw the line across and we have time and energy, a lot of time and energy. How much time and energy will it take that small goal? How much time and energy will it take these big carry out the for BHAG? And the answer is draw the lines there and you go, guess what? Same amount of time. The only difference is, are you thinking small or are you thinking big? No difference in time. You want a small little company? Fine, get a small little company. That's why you can have. But if you realize that it's not time investment, it's going to be just a decision that you make. And today's going to be a lot about decisions. Choices you make in the moment, not the inspiration from the inside, motivation from the inside, momentum from the inside. Watch a tennis player, even like the US Open. You saw people go from I'm losing to I pump up, get all excited, and win. That's because they got to the momentum state. They created it. All right, so let's get going this morning. By the way, there's my mentor, Jim Rohn. Some of you know Jim Rohn. Anybody know Jim? That's where I started my career when I was 18 years old. That's why I started so darn early, Brittany, right? Yeah, I know. All right, one more thing I want to do. I want to show you something here. This is a pipe, but I wanted you to equate it to a light. A small pipe. Look, I have a big pipe. If I want to put stuff through here, Tony, could you do me a favor? Could you give me my other hand? I can put things through here, but I can only put small things through here. If I got a small light, possibilities are tiny, everything seems small. Maybe I got a couple quarters here. But I can slide some quarters through here. So you know, you can stay on stage, so it can happen later. Okay. So I can put small stuff, but you know what? When it comes to the balls themselves, these are big hairy foundation tools for hair now, for sure. My life is so small that the opportunity doesn't even make sense. I can't even fathom how I'm going to do this. Because from this level, it makes no sense. I can't do it. For me, if I tried it, it'd be forced, I'd be stressed, I'd hate my life, and all of that would be bad news. But today, if we help you, we can get to a place that we expand. To expand our lives, then we can do anything we want to, right? We can put not just one opportunity, but many opportunities, multiple opportunities. We can do all kinds of incredible things because we've expanded ourselves and made ourselves bigger. So all in favor of making yourself bigger today, say aye. Aye. That was pretty weak. All in favor of really making today like a day of change, say aye. Aye. Okay, so Tom, I think that's our job, okay? I'm going to bring Tom Ziegler up. Tom and I met some years back. Does that make sense? I'm going to introduce you. Look, Tom Ziegler is a longtime friend now. We met through some other mutual friends in this industry. I had a father figure. It was my father, Father Rome. He had a father named Zig Ziglar. Anybody know that? Pretty amazing. I was there the day that Jim Rome went to Zig Ziglar. I was there for that. And I can tell you that these are the legends of all times. Tom Ziegler has been running that company now for many years. He started with his dad in 1986. Tom, on his own, lecturing, speaking, written 2 books. I've got both of them. They're fabulous. This is a man that is devoted himself, like his dad, to changing lives and public speaking. I'm just honored. Honestly, I called him one day and said, would you be willing to come and kind of because guess what? We don't get Tom Ziegler for functions like this. We just don't. So would you help me welcome to the stage? You're welcome to put it here or there's a filter. Yay.
Fantastic. So, a quick question: how many of you here today didn't see me before or else this is the first time? That's pretty good. Yeah, I'm honored to be here. Everywhere I go, I meet family. I didn't know I had legacy and influence. And what's interesting, talking about Jim Rohn, is one of the top communications that I ever saw on my do is when he gets on the stage at the same time, and it was a Brian McKinney event. And what Brian did is he would ask, my dad a question, then he would turn to Jim and say, what do you have to say about it? Well, whoever got to go first took the low hanging fruit, and the second person had to go eat. And so I saw Jim and Dad go back and forth on this life plan. You can actually find that presentation on the Disney's podcast. Well, I'm just excited to be here today. I'm going to share a little bit of wisdom that I learned from my father, that I've studied, some ideas on how you can change your life. Do I still have 50 minutes or time do you have? Just tell me when you want to be done. What time do you want to be done? Like if he says 3 minutes.
No, you got longer than 3.
Okay, that's good. 40. Okay, so help me do that.
See?
Yeah, so 10:20. And I only took 8 minutes. 10:20, we're done. I like to have fun. Is it okay to have fun? Is it okay to learn some things and have fun? So what I want to talk about is how do we change our expectations? How many of you know that our expectations really determine what we expect out of it? Y'all ever notice that? It's an amazing thing, our expectation really does put the city in this thing. So I'm here to talk about, let's jumpstart our expectations. We're going to go through some questions you can ask yourself. I'm going to have you get deep, but I also want you to know that I come on the stage as a coach. I love coaching. We work with coaches, certified coaches, coach people. And the reason I love coaching is because of all the skills that I believe you can develop. Coaching might be the most powerful one in this time because what do coaches do? They ask great questions. And they go deep. And so I want you to put on the hat of a coach today, and I want you to think about coaching yourself. Like, what do I really think about that? And if I change that expectation a little bit, will I get a different result? Will I go to that next level? And so we want to harvest our expectations because no matter what our expectations are, we're going to harvest it. So I read this book, The Expectation. Anybody read that? And the first one, okay, anybody here a nerd? There's only like, I like to, so the way I define a nerd is I like to know the why behind the why. Like you can study or understand why something works. I just kind of go with it. So I'm reading this book, The Expectation Effect, and to start doing these things, the first thing I want you to do is Thailand. So in Thailand, the people have no honor. And they decided to do this experiment. And so they put this beautiful Thai meal. And they took 2 groups of Thais who had already done the blood test, they knew they were low iron. And so for about, I don't know, 50 people, they said, eat this meal every single day, and the iron supplement on the top. And the idea is that you eat it and you keep the supplement your iron level will go. And then the other group of 50, whatever however many was, they took that same meal and they put it into a blender and then added an iron supplement to it. And so it kind of looked like And they told this group, now eat this every single day as part of your plan. And at the end of 30 days, they went and measured blood, and if you ate the type of meal with the iron supplement sprinkled over top of it, anyway, their iron levels increased dramatically. The people who had baby food, who ingested the same amount of iron, their iron level didn't change at all. Because their expectation was this is not appetite. This is actually change their digestion. Y'all believe that? Like, like what we expect physically changes. So they did another study and they just shaped shape this group of people and divided in half so that two groups tried to do these studies and they said, hey, we want you to drink this nutrition shake, it's awesome, and we're going to add this into your routine, and what we want you to do is record everything else you eat during the day. And so for like 30 days, they tracked the total calorie consumption. They did the same thing with the second group of people, except they told them something else. They told them a lie. They said, now this shake has an interesting property. When it goes into your stomach, it turns into solid. It takes a long time. But the group that was told that, on average, ate 400 calories a day less. Your expectation was hungry. So I'm listening to this book. I'm walking down the path. I go out for a walk, and I'm listening to it. And it does this next study. And the study is these cultures who believe that the more stress you're under, the more decisions you have to make, the more pressure you're in, that throughout the day, like this intensity of making decisions, your brain actually gets sharper as you go through the day. There are cultures that believe that. Now, I was raised the opposite. I read stuff and said, man, you get fatigued, and like the longer you go in the day, the more your decisions aren't as good. Anybody heard that? Decision fatigue? And and so I kind of made it a practice in my mind that if it was after like 4 in the afternoon, I just wasn't going to get into it. I get up early every day, 5 o'clock, and I'm tired by then. And so later in the day, I'm just turning it off. Right? I'm not going to make any decisions. And so they took these two groups of people who've been kind of trained up, and as you go through the day, if you're under a lot of pressure, you have to make a lot of decisions, and you get tired, your decision quality is going to go down, so put it off. And they took this other group of people who really believe culturally that, our brain, our mind is sharper and sharper. The more decisions we have to make, the more tension there is, the faster we got to do it. We actually get better than that. And they did this experiment where they took these two groups of people and made sure they were, relatively the same at the start. They gave them a test in the morning to see how their IQ was, and then they ran them through these things, and the ones that they made it stressful and tension and everything else, and they gave them a different IQ test at the end of the day. And you know what it showed? That both groups were right. If you expected to do worse on decision making because you were fatigued and tired and had stress, you won. And if you expected to do better because you've been through the tension and fire and your brain is now primed and your mindset is primed, you would. Isn't that amazing? Our expectations turnover outcome. And that is like study after study. My favorite one in there, and this will, how many of you are in a leadership position? Okay, everybody should raise your hand, right? Okay, because we're all leading from where we are, or by example, and everything else, so we're all in leadership. And so this is a great leadership example. They went into the schools, and it's like an elementary type school, and they moved to a certain grade level, and they told the teachers, hey, we're going to do this, it's called a bloomer assessment. And what it is they went in and they tested all the kids, and based on how the test came out, they could predict which kids are really blooming, which ones are going to take off, which ones are going to become socially interactive, which ones grades are going to go up, which ones are going to show leadership in the classroom, which ones are going to be the peacemakers and people who have charisma, and so they're doing this, right? So they do this thing, and give every kid in the class a test, and then they come back out and they identify about 20 of them that are going to bloom this year. And so they go to the teachers and they say, this is great news. Here are your kids that are going to be the bloomers. Of course, they made it all up. They used it. You want to know how much, at the end of the year, how much the bloomer group, on average, accelerated their IQ and scores versus everybody else? We're over 20% higher than that. So why was that? These kids didn't even know what was going on. The teachers. And so they actually filmed the teachers teaching. They actually sat in the back of the room and audited. And you know what they discovered? Is that the teachers actually spent less time than the bloomers. When they invited them to the board, their expectation was, well, John's going to get it right. Susie's going to get it right. Come on up, do this. And so their body language, their tone, their belief, their expectation was, you got what it takes. And so they did. And so my question is, what is your expectation around the people that you serve? Now, at this point, Don is really nervous, because this is my second slide. There's 57 to go. All right, so let's get into it. So today, here's the problem. We gotta change our expectation. Whatever you expect, you're gonna get. Right? We want to harvest that. So here's the promise today: clarity on what you expect and the jump start on getting. Right? We want to change our expectations. We want to go to that next level. So what is a big dream or goal that you always want? I want you to answer that in your head. Even if you got a little notepad, just write it down. What's the big dream? What is the BHAG that you like? Oh, I really want this. Write that down. Like bring it into your mind. This is what I want. Y'all got that? Okay, so let me ask you this. What fear is holding you back from going all in? What's the fear that's holding you back? Just say it out loud. Yeah. Will it work?
No, then it will work.
Whoa! Right, it's like, what if it works and I have to change and I have to live that out? What else? What's another fear? Failure. What if it doesn't work, right? So we've got the fear of it works. Anybody ever go back and forth on those two things and the same thing over and over? What if it works? Come on. What if it doesn't? Like that. It's like this thing. Any other fears? What's another fear that's holding? Taxes. Now, this is awesome, and Don will relate to this because I grew up selling product at the back of the room. And one of those programs is called Secret to Sales, maybe the greatest sales program ever recorded by anybody in the history of time, right? That thing has made people into knowledge. And people would come to the table and they would pick it up and I'd go, be careful. Guess what? Don't change the back. So what's the fear that's holding it back? So I want you to use your own mind, write it down. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much is it holding you back? What is it? Say it out loud. On a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is that fear holding you back? What's that? Hey, you got any 10s in here? 9? I mean, it's a big number, isn't it? It paralyzes, it keeps us from moving into it. And so this illustration, I heard this illustration and I was like, so, so I want you to imagine this. You live a great life. This is not nice. Just imagine you live this amazing life. You're 95, you've got health the whole time, you've got great relationships, and all of a sudden you wake up sitting next to God. And God says, hey, I want you to watch this video. And God hands you an iPhone. So you're sitting next to God, and He hands you the iPhone, and He says, watch this video. It's the life you could have. If you just gone with the nudge, if you just stepped into it. And so you watch this video of you living this amazing life with all the things you could have. So here's my question. What's the one thing you would ask God in that video? A do-over. Can I go back? Can I go back into time? So here's the awesome thing. Yes, today is the day. So now, after you watch that video of your potential self, how big does that fear seem on the scale of that? You know this is the life you could have. Like this is your potential self. You just done it. Is that fear relevant? So what is it for me? Is the fear gone there? That's it. And so this is what we got to keep in mind. And so here's the deal. In the first example, our fear was bigger than our why. Like our why was little, and I can't do that. What if I'm successful? What if I fail? Who am I? I'm an imposter. I don't know how to do that. I haven't learned it. And then all of a sudden, the why is bigger than the fear. When you see your potential self in your mind, your expectation changes of who you are and who you can become and what you can do. Does that resonate? Does that make sense? Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get into that. And so we've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable. We've got to be comfortable being uncomfortable as we move into that. And so I'm going to take you through 4 questions. And we're going to go through these 4 questions, and I want you to apply it to that dream, that goal, that why, that thing that you got. And so as you think about yourself, I mean, what a great illustration. If I want to grow so that I have more capacity, right, that I can handle bigger things, I got to do something different. And so when I look at my own life and I look at the things that I want to accomplish, and specifically around my goal that I talk about, what is it that I want to do? So here's the real question. What do I want to expand? I mean, do I want to improve my relationship ability, my sales skills, my conversation, my ability to market? What do I want to expand? Do I want to grow my team? Do I want to move into different areas? What is it that I want to increase? Does So I like that. What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Somebody, what did you say? What do you want to do? Fear. I want to reduce fear. Okay, so here's the great thought around that. There's two primary reasons why people don't step into doing something. One of them is their self-image, and one of them is their beliefs. So either I'm not worthy to do it, my self-image, who am I, right? People are exposing me, or I believe that I don't have that. I come from this background. People like me really do this. My goodness, I'm only 20. My goodness, I'm already 60, right? I mean, it's like this. Two different people give the same reason. That the belief of their age, their experience, their culture. So here's a quick thought. Do you know the fastest way to build yourself in? I want you to think about your biggest goal. What is one action that's hard for you to do? Like if I did more of that, I'd probably have to do it. It's literally something that you're afraid of doing. You've got that action in mind. Let's just say it's calling on the phone. Like, don't know the phone situation calling. It's unbelievable. If you want to increase yourself, ask yourself, if I did that one thing 50 times today, would I feel proud of myself? Yeah. So find the thing you're fearful of, commit to doing it a certain amount of times, enough to know that at the end of the day, you look at that, I'm proud of my day. It doesn't matter the results. It doesn't matter whether you left 49 voicemail messages and you had one conversation. If you are proud of yourself, that'll give your self-image a boost. And the fear will start to go away. Does that make sense? So what do you want? And then we got to go to these questions. You got to ask, well, why do I want to improve that? What's the big win for me? Like, why? Do I take care of my family? Do I send my kids to college? Do I get the dream home? What is my why? So why do I want to improve that? Why do I want to expand that? Why do I want to increase that? Why do I want to reduce that? You follow? If we know what we want and why we want it, those are the two big ones. Those are the two things that struggle with people, because if your why is not big enough, when the obstacle comes, you're going to give up. If the obstacle is clear, like watching my dad, like the older my dad got, the more intense he got, the more urgent he got. Why? Because he knew he had less time and there were more people to reach. So his urgency went up. It's like most people, you get to a certain age, a certain level of success, let's just coast it in, let's just take it easy. Totally different why from him. My dad was clear. He wanted as many people as he could to come with him. Right? He wanted to share the good news. He wanted to be an impactful person in their life so they could have the life that they wanted. So when we know what we want and why we want it, we just dig into this quote, because these 5 questions are in this quote. How many of you have heard this before? You can have everything in life you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. And so you can have everything in life you want. So what do you want? Why do you want it? If you'll just help enough other people. So who are you going to help? What's the problem you're going to solve? Who are you going to help? Does that make sense? So now I'm thinking, this is who I'm going to help. This is who I'm going to help. Fantastic. We got to get to the next question. What do they want? I don't know. Have you thought about asking them? I mean, what do people want in the home buying experience? Did you know it's different for different people? Right? I'm the nerd. Like, not only do I know what I want, but I gotta believe that I'm getting, this is the best choice for me. Other people have different criteria. So we ask people, what do you want? And then you gotta come up with a plan. How am I going to help them? So we got this big goal, this big dream. And we know what it is, and we know why we want it, and then we figure out who are we going to help? Who are the people? Have you got an avatar of who you serve, like who your ideal client is? I love people who say, I serve everybody. Man, that's tough. Have you know, life is too short for that. I want to serve people who like to have fun, right? Who we can agree and disagree and laugh and tell jokes and share the meaningful things in life. And I hope that we remain friends after it. So I have a pretty clear idea of who I want to do life with, who I want to do business with. Have you articulated that? And do you have the plan for that? So here's my question to you. Do you expect to get what you want? I mean, like, seriously, do you expect it? There's a powerful thought, and that is just imagine for a moment. Like, I get up in the morning very early, 4:35. I go into my office. I have this quiet time, and one of the things that I'll do is I will go into gratitude, and I'll start thinking of things that I'm grateful for. And then I will, in that moment, I will envision what life is going to be like. I will see my life, and then I thank God for that as if it's already happened. It's an expectation. Now, the reason I do that, and this is really cool, because if it doesn't turn out that way, it's because it's up in heaven. But you know what it allows me to do? It allows me to go all in. It allows me to go all in to my commitment, right? Because I can envision, I can see it. This is why I'm doing it. This is who I'm solving problems for. These are all the things. It allows me to expect it. And then I'm like, okay, so what are the, have y'all heard this term IPAs? Okay. It's not beer. Okay, some of you guys started smiling. Started smiling. IPAs, income producing activities. Right? What are the income producing activities that will bring what you expect into existence? Does anybody here have a dream, a big goal that costs money? I'm just curious. Okay. So that means that we have to do something in the action world. I gotta think it first, right? Change starts with the thinking and comes after the doing. Change starts with the thinking and comes after the doing. Let me see here, tell you. Logic will change. Logic will not change an emotion, but action will. So you can sit here all day and logically think, oh, I should do this, that's true, that's what I want. But your emotional state won't change until you take action on it. And so if you know what you expect, that's the dream I want. These are the people I serve, here's the problem I solve. What are the IPAs? What are the things that I've got to do in order to help them solve their problems? You harvest what you expect. You don't expect much, you're not going to harvest much. Michelangelo's secret. Now, I got this this little sequence out of the Dan Sullivan book. Dan Sullivan, Vision Party. You might have read those. 10x is equal to 2x and not how. I mean, just great thinking. And he talks about Michelangelo. And he goes into Michelangelo's history. And so when he was still a teenager, he was sneaking into the ward of their time in the middle of the night. And he was dissecting cadavers. Which that's kind of weird. Anybody heard about that? I'm just kidding. I mean, maybe 10th grade biology is dissecting a frog, right? But he's going in, like he's got this curiosity streak, and he's learning, and he's going into it, and because he has this vision, right? He wants to be a sculptor, and then he takes all of his savings and he buys this big piece of marble because he sees in it something. Now, here's the thing: is he bought the marble before he even had a commission. And then he got the commission to go do this, and he said yes before he had the skills to do it. So he puts his life savings into something that he had no hope of the future of. He was just expecting it. Then he gets the commission, and they say, we want it, and we need it to look like this. He didn't have the skills yet. He had to go learn them, and he said yes, expecting to learn. If you expect it, whether you have the skills or experience now or not is irrelevant. You're going to say yes. You're going to step into it, and you're going to learn it. You're going to grow with that. That's Michelangelo's secret. You harvest what you expect. So here is the secret power. You've got to commit before you have the skill. That's a little risky, isn't it? Y'all know any world changers that didn't take risks? None. Yeah. We commit before we have the skill. So if you know something, this is what I want, this is what I expect, and there's a learning curve to get there, you commit to it before you know the how to. So what do you expect? If you get what you expect, what will it be worth to you? And so you wrote down, this is what I expect, this is my goal, this is my dream, this is my DNA. So I just want you to put a dollar value next to that. What does that mean? What is that dollar value worth to you? Like if you got that. Now somebody might have written down, I want to repair a relationship with so-and-so. That's my dream, right? My heart aches. If you repair that relationship, that's priceless, isn't it? You can't put a dollar value on that. Some of you are like, I want to sell X amount of units for X amount of value. Well, you know the math on that. You can put what that's worth to you. Put that down. Because the more clear we are on what it is that we want and what we expect, the better it is. Now, the challenge is that life is a maze. Y'all ever feel like life is a maze? Do you feel like that over the last week, all the doors of the maze have been closed and we're just like doing this? It's like a constant thing. And so we've got a problem. It feels like a maze. Well, we also have an opportunity. We can figure out how to get out of the maze. So in my mind, getting out of the maze is getting what you expect. That's what it's all about. The problem, too many wrong turns. You get stuck, no money, or worse, you die before the game's over. And you got to put another quarter in the Pac-Man machine, right? Try again. Or maybe you're in a room of people who can show you the way. Maybe there's somebody who's been there, done that can give you some ideas. So here's the reality. To get what you've never had, you must do what you've never done. That's Bill Cox. That's when he was looking more forward. He's like a lot more passionate. You need like a DNA energy injection of inspiration and motivation. He's your guy. I would like it. So let's try. So he's always telling me, Tom, you got to do what you've never done. You know what's the problem with doing what you've always done? Is you get less and less. It's not even status quo. If you do what you've always done, you'll get less than you used to get. Y'all agree with that? It's a crazy world. Are you kidding me? Oh my God. This is like, let's see, I can't believe it's 2025. So this is like 17, 18 years ago. Social media, this guy reaches out to me. He says, Tom, I need to talk. I'm kind of in a career crisis. I go, great. So back then it was safe to talk to people on the phone. I don't know. It used to be that way. So I said, hey, yeah, I texted back. I said, here's my email, here's my phone number. So I call him, we changed, and he said, Tom, let me give you my story. This guy's in real estate. He goes, do y'all remember what happened in 2008, 2009? Anybody live through that? Okay, so this guy's the poster child. He says, Tom, here's my story. My wife and I were making together in our brokerage about $40,000 a month. They're taking home $40,000 a month. That's what they're putting in their pocket. They're making $500,000 a year. And he said, we were all in. We bought a lot of real estate, investment houses. We're doing the whole thing. All of that stuff is rocking. And he says, and then the mortgage meltdown. He goes, Tom, in a few months, we went to making $40,000 a month to together bringing home about $4,000 a month. So you know what happened to the properties? They lost them. He goes, Tom, my wife and I almost lost our marriage. Like this almost took us down. So now it's a few years later. He said, Tom, we've been hanging on by a thread. We've been going. He said, Tom, I'm thinking about quitting real estate. And I said, are you kidding me? Let me give you the time. I said, are you kidding me? And he's like, what? I said, are you kidding me? He goes, I don't know what you mean. I said, is it okay if I ask you a couple of questions? He said, yeah. I said, so do you know more about real estate now than before the meltdown? He goes, oh yeah, I know way more about it. I know every trick. I know how to negotiate deals. I know how to get through stuff. I know paperwork I didn't know existed before this happened. I go, great. So you're more qualified than you've ever been. He said, yeah. And I said, well, most people in the market today, are they in the market because, oh boy, real estate is fun? Or are they in the market because they have to be? He said, they're like, they have to be. I said, so they're like you? He said, yeah. And I said, so do you think they're going through the stress in the marriage, relationship challenges in business? He goes, yes, they are. I go, is there anybody in the world who knows that better than you? And there's just quiet. He said, no. I've lived it. We're on the other side of it. And I said, are you kidding me? Because you see, his question was, I don't think I can add value to this market. And the reality was there was nobody better to add value to that market than him. So we let it breathe. And he said, Tom, I'm going to go all in for the next 30 days and see what happens. 3 days later, I get an 8-page, single-spaced email from him. Here's the story. So he went and bought a bunch of names who had been delisted. So I'm not a real estate guy, so I guess it's people who had a realtor, their house fell off, and they chose not to renew that. So he says, I went out of the delisted thing and I started making calls. And I call out and I get this lady on the phone and I said, hey, I saw you delisted your house. I'd love to represent you. And the woman in a depressed voice says, don't waste your time. My husband and I are in the middle of a divorce. He will never agree to it. It's the intentions. And he said, is it okay if I share my story? And so his expectation was that the reason he thought he couldn't before was the very reason that he could. And so he said, my wife and I almost lost our marriage. And all these things happen. I get where you're coming from. I tell you what, how about we do this? Why don't you agree to let me list with you on the hope that I can get your husband to agree? And she said, well, I can do that. And then he says, where do I find him? So he's living in a friend's house, and she says he gets home about 5 o'clock every day. He drives his car. Why don't you just meet him there? He's not going to take the call. Why don't you just park in front of that house, and when he gets out, and introduce you? So he goes and does that. So this guy gets out of his car. And he gets out, and he says, hey, Mr. So-and-so. The guy turns, he says, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a real estate agent. I talked to your wife, and I know you guys are going through a horrible time. I went through the same situation. I'd love to help you guys move forward and resolve this. And in this email, he says, Tom, this guy, his shoulders slumped. And he's put his head down, and he said, yeah, we do. We need to put this aside. We need to move forward. You see, sometimes the very reason we think we shouldn't is the very reason we should. And so, I want you to look at your own situation. What is it that's keeping you from going that direction? And there's 3 choices for it. He's actually going to get done.
I never doubt.
There's 3 choices. You can take this information, you can look at your expectations, and you can go, no, I'm not in. So isn't that great that oxygen said? I still don't know whether that's a real oxygen or that's AI. No, it's not AI. That's your choice. Or, look, you can become an expert in all of this. Right? You can spend thousands of hours like reading, researching, and becoming somebody who understands how to get the most out of their life. Or you can engage in coaching. And so Don and I talked about our coaching, and I said, I think this would be a great opportunity. And so I want to share with our coaching, but I think the way you were talking about it makes even more sense.
So we don't usually let people sell in our room. Okay, we really are dead set against it. But first of all, this man is Mr. Ziegler. And second of all, when we started talking there you go. We started talking about it, and I got to tell you, I spoke for your coaches, I guess 4 years ago, or yeah. And they're an amazing group. I mean, I had the pleasure of speaking for them, and they like me, and I like them a lot. And so when Tom and I were talking, and he started saying, we could develop something for you guys that would be really different, like crazy different. And I said, let's do it. So you laid out, to me, it's the best system I've ever seen for land coaching.
So let me go through this. I'm going to go through it light speed because I believe in coaching. And there's reasons why people don't do coaching, okay? They don't trust it. They don't know who it is, right? It's not a fit. It costs too much. Like, these are the reasons that people say no to a coach. Like, how do I know? Well, we kind of make it easy. All of our coaches are Ziegler certified. We guarantee it. Does that sound good? So like there's no risk. 4 life-changing sessions for only. So let me just ask you, what do you think the only is going to be? 4 sessions. What do you think the investment is going to be? Someone say a number. 500. 500. Okay, there we go. So here's what you get. As Ziegler certified coach, we're going to do 4 one-on-one sessions that are about an hour. We do it on Zoom. Each one we do a Zig GPT recap. We actually have our own AI where we've got Zig AI and Zig GPT. So we take the recording and we debrief it and send it back to you. We're going to discover the dreams and any obstacles to your success. And number 1, we're going to clarify your why and purpose in session 2. We're going to identify the goals in the 7 areas of life, and then we're going to develop a plan that jumpstarts you in the momentum. Does that sound good? Like whatever it is that you want to work on. So raise your hand if you want to achieve your expectations. Like that's what you want. Okay, so here's the crazy thing. This is what Don and I were laughing about. It's $97. 4 sessions.
Say what?
4 sessions, one-on-one with the coach.
4 one-hour sessions.
Because we wanted to handle all those objections. No trust. Is it a fit? Does it make sense? And if you love it and you get all this momentum and you get the results and you want to go forward, we'll talk to you about that. But this is certified Ziegler coach helping you clarify your expectations and create a plan. So we have 2 ways to do it. You can click on it right here on the QR code. Just get that and register. And if you're old school, old fashioned, I've got some old-fashioned order forms over there that actually require a pen, and you have to fill out all your stuff. I don't do any of the work here, okay? You have to do all the work. You have to get that order form, fill out, and give it to me. And so that's it. I mean, that's what it is. Jumpstart, harvest your expectations today. I bring this to you because, watch this, I said it earlier, change starts with the thinking. How many of you started to change some thinking today? But it comes after the doing. So the difference between somebody who thinks about getting something done and somebody who gets something done is the doing. And coaching is by far the best way I've ever seen to jumpstart that. All right, thanks, Don. Appreciate you. You guys are
Awesome. Tom Ziegler, everybody. Tom Ziegler. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. So, you understand why I said it's okay to do that? Like, this lady's part of a company, many of you are part of companies where coaching is going to cost you $1,000, $1,250, $1,000 for a month, for 4 sessions of 30 minutes. So I just wanted you guys to have a chance to really get the help, because how often we stop ourselves. And I believe Tom loves coaching, I do too. I believe coaching is the straight line approach to get to from where you are to where you want to be. Otherwise, you take the detours. I tried, trial and error, some worked, but some didn't. But if you really get the focus from somebody else who can see clearer for you what you can't see for yourself, which, by the way, is almost always, you got a better chance. Okay, was that awesome or what?
Yeah.
I took 2 pages of notes on what you said, but I will tell you the part that really got me was that your session in the morning, I believe, and we're going to talk later about like setting up a morning routine, ritual. But what I loved is setting goals, going into the future, setting goals, and then being grateful for what has happened in your mind. It was fabulous. Like, I don't know if I've ever thought of it. To be honest with you, I think that's fabulous. Okay, we're going to get to Christy Morales next. I want to share with you just one quick thing. There's the man. By the way, anybody here ever get to see Zig live besides Scott Schilling? Yeah, it's awesome. He was what an incredible man. I wanted to bring this to you, and I'm going to put this in between things sandwich, and I want to make one quick point, and then I'm going to bring Christy on. So this is 4 steps to leverage, and I've talked about this for years. It's been one of my diagrams that I've used for a long time. And this is really related to how do we grow bigger? How do we think bigger than grow bigger? We have to have leverage. And leverage for me, that's where we go from the I do it to the we do it, right? That's where the leverage starts. And then we get to the they do it. But right off the bat, we go, we first need to look at how can we change us? Because the first thing that needs to change is not getting people. The first thing that needs to change is not getting a system. The first thing that needs to change is our heads and our hearts. It all starts here, so nothing changes until you change, right? For things to change, Jim Rohn said, for things to change for you, you've got to change. So first level is we need to work on ourselves. So today I said to you, what? We're going to not get a lot of skills, we're going to get a lot of thinking differently that allows us to take the skills that we've already got. That's the story that you just told us. And take somebody to a whole new level because you already have the freaking skills, guys. You're not applying them. You know what to do with a client, you just don't have a client. You know what to say to a listing seller, you just don't have one. So it's really important that we get that first piece, which is your personal growth. Second is going to be your systems. I'm not going to get into that process. Structure, if you do it more than once, have a system for it. Number 3 is marketing. I'm a big believer in marketing. I believe that if you're going to set up a business, it should be marketing based, people calling you, not you calling them. People calling you because they know you, like, and trust you, and they have decided on you, whether you know them or not, they know you, like, and trust you. Now that's when things blow up. So marketing rules, and it works all the time. It works when you're sleeping. It works when you're on vacation. It works. It just works. And then fourth and finally is people. And that's when we get to the we do it and the they do it. But we aren't going to make the decisions about people. We're not going to get to any decisions that related to marketing and people until we change our minds and we change how we think about it all. And so then I want to go to what Tom just said, which is expectations. Raise your standards, what I usually say. I love that he says expectations. Raise your expectations. You can literally expect more and achieve more by the expectation. That literally you're setting in motion through the thoughts that you have, the big thinking thoughts, the big head thoughts, or the small thinking thoughts. One way or the other, you are deciding what your future is in your mind right now. You're deciding, I've heard positive things, I know, blah, 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 whatever. Or you're saying, you know what, this time I'm going to take advantage of something and do something. And whether it's coaching or just making choices for yourself, whatever it is, today is the beginning of all of that. And Christy Morales has been in the real estate space for 33 years. I didn't know we knew each other. I've been seeing her billboards around the DFW area for some years. Even when we didn't live here, we lived in Puerto Rico, we come here, we just kick the camera. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't move somebody's something. We were going to the Cedar Creek Lake, and on the way back, I'd see her billboards. I'm like, I gotta call that woman. I called that woman and said, hey, would you come and speak for us? And she goes, I was in your program back in whatever. So I had no idea. But Christy Morales has been in the business for 33 years, guiding buyers and sellers through the real estate journeys. And what I think it really impressed me is for her, it's more about, less about the transactions and more about building a high-performing team, being a leader of a high-performing team. And she's led by faith and the Holy Spirit. What I love about that is she comes from that place in which she deals with her clients. And so she's doing the very best she can for her people. She's absolutely coming from a heart place, not a head space, not a money place. Not I want to achieve a goal that's financial, but I want to help people because that's what's in my heart. And Christy, I can't wait to have you up here. Come on, she said to me yesterday, she said, we're going to do TED Talk style. I'm going to do TED Talk, baby. That's what she said. Come on. She said, I don't even want to take this live. I'm going to do it my thing. Christy Morales.
Thank you so much. Oh my God. All right, guys, good morning. Hello.
By the way, low energy. Low energy.
All right. I cannot believe. I love what they're talking about. Okay, mindset. Mindset is so important. I'm going to tell you all a little bit about me, and I'm going to tell you what has happened in my life, a lot of trauma, tribulation, and whatnot, how I worked in my inner deepest, insecurities, self-doubt, things that hold us back continually, and how to feel it, deal with it, release it, heal, and be the best version of yourself.
Because what these guys are talking about, you've got to do some work. You got to let go of that self-doubt. You got to let go of things that do not serve you, things that you think about yourself that do not serve you, that do not allow you to go to the next level. And maybe we all go to the next level, right? All of us. Yes. Okay, so here's the thing. I want to show you this. I came up with this because, Dawn contacted me and said, hey, we're going to put this, would you like to speak? And I'm like, oh my God, look, guys, I'm standing here today because of my thought process, changing things, thinking differently, believing in myself. The good Lord leads me. He is my boss, no matter what. And so, thank you. Okay.
Sit.
Thank you.
Chair.
I'm good. So look, but the reason I'm standing on this stage is through different thinking. I am going to live a life of significance. That's what I'm about now. And you know what? We're touching our clients, we're touching our team, we're touching everybody's life around us. And when we move to higher level, higher thinking, it changes people around you. It can help it. So, you know what? We're going to be living our best life. Now, I'm going to let you know, sometimes a little cuss word might pop out. I want to make sure that I have total permission to be totally authentic with you guys. Because you know what? Do I have permission? Because I don't do it any other fucking way. Alright? So this is what we're going to be talking about. But I'm going to tell you, this is just how I'm going to do it. So, when you contacted me, what's interesting as I was preparing for this, I thought, oh my God, this is my binder, Dawn. Do you recognize this? This is from 2002. I went to Las Vegas to a 2-day event. Hobbs Herder, Greg Herder, Don Hobbs, learned all kinds of stuff about marketing and the real estate business. He's talking about, hey, Tom was talking about, are you going to risk it? What are you willing to risk? So I think I was in that room at about 20-something years old. Spent every dime that I had at that point in time to even go to this event, go to Vegas, and everything in here. Do you know that I market? I use what he learned me, I taught me, even today. And what he's talking about, seeing a billboard, seeing some things like that, this is through this man. So who would have thought that the Lord would bring us together 23 years later, that the man actually calls me? And I'm like, oh, freaking Hans, are you kidding me? You don't know me, I know you. I was in your class in 2002. Oh my goodness. But you know what I did? I'm not married to that man anymore, so it's unfortunate. But anyways, I went with my ex-husband to Vegas, and we risked it all. Came back, and I said, I'm going to do everything in there. I mortgaged my house, did a home equity loan, and I risked everything that I had and said, you know what? This is going to work. We're talking about expectations here. This is about, hey, this will work. I've got the tools. I'm going to tweak things. I'm going to follow my button. What am I going to do? I'm going to pick myself up every single time. This is about perseverance, not giving up. You can't give up. If you think you're a quitter, you're a quitter. Do you know what I mean? If I'm going to quit, then it is what, So, but just thank you so much for inviting me here today, because these people, Tom Ziegler, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You slide. But are you kidding me? These people have shaped my life. I would have never expected that I'd be standing here, at one point in time, with them. So thank you, Lord. I am like, thank you, Lord, for showing me favor. I am a blessed one and highly favored. And you may think she's arrogant in saying that. But you know what? I believe that. God shows favor on me. So let me tell you a little bit what has happened in my life. So, look, my team, I've been in real estate for over 33 years. We're a super high performing team, small team, creating extraordinary customer experiences rooted in a servant's heart, and always maneuvering with love, honesty, integrity. That is our mission statement. That is what we do. So, bottom line is, I lost my husband about 4.5 years ago. He had two aneurysms and died, so it changed my life upside down on a dime. No preparation for this. But let me tell you one other thing. My mom was killed in a car accident when I was 21 years old. Changed my life too. At that moment, I realized life is too short. I've got to do everything that I can to live my best life. So I believe, take the tools, do what I do, live a successful life, do what I need to do in business, and then the hubby dies. At that point in time, a successful real estate agent, but all in all, my identity was actually stuck with I'm a realtor. I have to be the number one ranked agent in my county. Like I'm a realtor. I don't resonate with that anymore. My identity is I'm a child of God. I am favored. I am royalty. And you guys are too. And you need to know that. And you need to think that way. God did not put us here to live mediocre lives. He wants the best for us. And somebody said earlier today, I think, that look, He creates the best life anyway, so why would I not follow that? So regardless, so hubby, passes away, my life turns on a dime. I'm like, oh my goodness, I fall into darkness. I didn't know what to do. I've never been alone. I've always been with somebody, or Caleb was with me, my son. After getting divorced, I've never been alone. I didn't know how to deal with that. Not to mention, guys, very interesting, but the Lord shows me through the veil. I started experiencing paranormal activity in my house. I don't know what to do with that. I'm living in fear, complete and utter fear. And you know what? Was like, this is not going to destroy me. I am going to live the best version of myself. I will not take this. Found grief groups, found mediums. I don't even believe in that stuff. I'm like, holy heck, I'm about to go deal with the devil now. Everything I've learned and conditioned to believe. I was born and raised Catholic, and conditioned to believe things. I have learned so much, and the Lord has opened my eyes on so many things. But that's one thing I want to challenge you guys to, is what are the stories that you're telling yourself? And what are you conditioned to believe? And why do you believe what you believe? I'm going to ask you to think about everything that you believe. Why do I believe that? Is this generational that you just believe it because your family does, politics, religion or whatnot? Then you need to think, why do I believe what I believe? Because what you may find out is your thinking is conditioned. And you need to be thinking for yourself. And so going through this process and whatnot, I started journaling, praying, meditating. And there is a power in putting your thoughts into a journal, reading it back over a period of time, and you will find patterns in there. You will find things that you will have answers to problems. You need to be solution-based for sure, but you'll have answers in this thing. And so through this process, the Lord started giving me like a logo and things. I've been invited to speak at the Heights, which is a nonprofit organization in Lothian, Texas, for abused women, children, people. And I thought, okay, I'll tell my story. After Steve died and whatnot, I got myself in a relationship. I ended up, being with a narcissist. I didn't know what narcissism was. I had no clue, but I wondered why I lived in a state of confusion. Like just confusion, chaos, what's up with that? But after I decided to leave that relationship, I started seeing through this process truly what was going on. And so throughout this process of journaling, though, it's just shown me so much, and it will show you so much. But I started seeing the logos. God had me create logos and things. And I was speaking at the Heights, and there was a counselor in that room, and the counselor said, you need to come work with us and speak. And I'm like, I'm not a counselor. They're like, it doesn't matter, God's shining through you, and we need your help. These ladies, these people need your help. And so I had already created the content. And so really why I'm up here is we created content called Love Yourself, A Pathway to Peace. But what was interesting when I was speaking, I had shown her this after the fact, and I'm like, I don't know, it's Love Yourself, A Pathway to Peace. And she goes, do you know you're speaking for the pathway? And I'm like, what? And so I'm like, Lord, it's amazing how the Lord maneuvers us and puts us in the paths when you become aligned. You become aligned, and it's not just that. I'm going to go back to these. I've got 7 minutes. I got 7 minutes, guys. So we're going to try to put this in here, but really what I want to go back into is, so we created a workshop. It's a 6-week workshop that will, I promise you, change the way you think, the way you feel, the way you see yourself. Now, I'm not here to tell that. That's just something that the good Lord has helped us to give back to the community, to help people, because now I feel like my mission is significant now. It is about serving the Lord, and it is helping people to live the best version of their life, and not only that, to have a spiritual awakening. Because to me, it's not about organized religion, it's about my intimate relationship with Jesus Christ. And he shows me every day who he is, what he does in my life, aligns me, and actually, I pray with him, Lord, please bring the people into my life that I need to help and that need to help me. I work for you. So before I got on here, Lord, move me out of the way, move Chrissy out of the way, you shine. I want you to shine. This is not about me, it's about you, it's about kingdom building, it's about people living their best lives and not taking any more crap from the bullshit that you talk in your head, because it's all bullshit and it's all lies. You've got to understand that. So all in all, but like, what I do want to leave you with is, $97? Are you kidding me right now? So $97, look, coaching. I've had numerous coaches throughout my whole real estate career. They are invaluable. If you can get $97 to help you just to create your vision, if you don't have one, you gotta have a vision, guys. You gotta be pushing towards something significant, changing your life, legacy, whatnot. Start thinking about those things if you're not. And there's a power in writing things down, putting your goals on paper. It's better if you're looking at them, but if you're not, your subconscious, at least keeps it in the back of your head, and you maintain those. I loved what Tom was talking about. He was talking about seeing it, feeling it, seeing where you're going. That's called manifesting. When you actually see yourself doing it, you're in front of the clients. I'm going to the listing person today. I've already seen in my mind how everything's going to go. I'm thinking about their objections. I'm thinking about smiling, laughing, ha ha ha. I'm taking this listing if I want it. And that's how I work. And that's how you should work too. We have options. It's not always in desperation. Hey, I need the listing. It's come from power, confidence, authority. Now that's created by your thinking. Tom had said something about learning. Go and learn things, whatever you feel like you're not as knowledgeable about. Become the authority, in your life and for your clients. So, I'm making confidence. Okay. Really, this is the whole, why I'm up here. It's really I love what they're talking about mindset. What you think about is kind of what you are. I'm going to change that a little bit, but if you think you're a loser, you are a loser. I don't want you to think that way, but I want you to detach from that emotion. You do not play into that emotion if you think I'm a loser. Now, no, part of what you think about, most of what you think you are, is because somebody told you. Somebody told you what you are, and you know what? You listen to it. You are not what they say. Don't listen to the lies. If I can give you a homework, an activity to do, is I want you to think about and get a piece of paper and write down, what are the things that everybody has told me that do not serve me? What are the lies that I believe? What is my mom told me, my dad told me, my people that I hang on to consistently? I'm a loser, this, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty, I'm not, whatever that may be for you. So list those out. And then really I want you to ponder on those things. Where does that come from? Why do I even think that way? And maybe root it back, oh, my mom kept on telling me that. My dad kept on telling me that. And then I want you to go look at those things and go, this is not who I am. It never was. It never was. You cannot listen to the stinking thinking that we tell ourselves all the time. It is just stinking thinking. Even if you can fake it till you make it, do that. That'll serve you better than listening to your bullshit lies. I promise you that. So, all in all, guys, am I up for minutes. We're done. Guys, just, thank you so much for allowing me to be here. Actually, even be on this panel, be around these people. I'm so excited. Like, my life is getting ready to be significant. I pray about it, I think about it, I manifest it, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. You can truly have it all. You can have it all.
Christy, great job. I love this part where you talked about having, yeah, that's great. You talked about the mindset and the things that we hear about ourselves are not the truth. By the way, write this down. The results are not the truth of who you are. So if they're not good, don't worry about it. It's not you. It's just what you've achieved so far. So remember that everything happens from the inside out, right? So, and by the way, my journal is right here. And mine has Jim Rohn on it on the front cover. Thank you. Pretty girl. All right, so here's what she's just talking about. Where's your focus? Are you focused on what's happening and what's not happening? Because that's literally what lights up everything for you. Are you focused on what's happening and what's not happening? I have a quarter. It's on the floor. I have a quarter. Okay, hold on. There we go. Let's see if I can do this without killing anybody. All right. Whoa. Heads or tails? It's tails. I don't even know the quarter has like stuff on it. Who uses coins? I couldn't find coins. I had 3 coins. Curious. Okay, so it's tails. Is heads still present?
Yes.
So it's not what we're focused on. I'm focused on tails. But heads is still there. Just as possible, just as present. While you're making decisions about what you see, the other possibility is still there. That's what I want you guys to understand. You're making decisions based on what you see and the seemingly obvious results, but that's not the truth. That's only half the story. Make sense? Okay, you're going to bring up somebody else that you're going to love. Julie and I met probably, I don't know, 2 years ago, let's say, something like that. I don't think we were living here at the time. We were in Puerto Rico, and we were traveling back and forth, and I got a chance to meet her through mutual friends who I think are still here, friends somewhere. I don't know, maybe yes or not. Anyway, Julie is a TV personality. She was Emmy Award winning. Anytime I meet an Emmy Award winning anybody, I'm like, really? Like, there's not that many Emmys given out. And she's an Emmy Award winning newscaster. She's been very present with people in helping them change their self-image. How do you do that? Video is one of the easiest ways to do that. Now, normally, she's teaching how to get your best foot forward in video, how to show up in the right places. I asked her to do something different. I said, the challenge that we have is that people don't do that because of the self-image that they have of themselves. They don't put themselves out there because of the self-image they have. We don't allow ourselves to be marketed like Christy on billboards. We don't do that. I'd love to do that. We have people on TV, we have people on billboards, we have people all over the place, but some people believe in themselves enough to let them do it. And other people said, I'm not big enough for that, I'm too small for that, I don't believe in myself enough. And when that happens, we squelch ourselves. And I believe today Julie's going to help us get way past that. So, Julie, I'll everybody.
By the way, how many of you are scared of video? Get those hands up pretty high. All right, we're going to get to the root of that. I want you to think about that. Listen, I wasn't always in a place of confidence. Yes, I was a broadcaster for a while. And that actually was a terrifying moment when they said, you're hired, come, I want you to do it. And I'm going to share that story in just a minute. But I wasn't always like that. I wasn't the confident self. In fact, I wasn't even confident when I got the job. But to understand where I'm at and why I do what I do, you have to first let me share a minute about where I came from. I didn't have this beautiful childhood.
A lot of you might have had good childhoods, bad childhoods. I had more of a bad one. And a lot of the confidence building things that happen to you when you're a kid just were kicked out from underneath me, one after the other, after the other, after the other. So I find myself now at 15 years old, I'm sitting next to my mom in my room on the edge of the bed. It's night. I've got the table lit, the table lamp is lit up in my room, and I'm sobbing, and I'm telling my mom, I don't have any confidence in myself. And like any good mom would say, why? Like, you're so beautiful, you're this, you're that, you're this. But you know what? The confidence doesn't come from the outside. It comes from in here. And we often miss it by 18 inches. What we think, and what we believe, and what's in our hearts. And so this is me at 15 years old, and I have to just be honest, I have no earthly idea what in the world made me pick myself up by my bootstraps and make my life different at 15 years old. But I knew shortly after that that confidence was going to be my choice. It wasn't really going to be about how I felt, it was going to be more about the actions that I took. And so I started to do hard things, one after the other. I was just picking things that were way out of my league. For example, I auditioned for Miss Dallas, and I won first runner-up. That surprised me as anybody else. And then it was Miss Texas, and then it was auditioning for a high school that I never thought I was going to get into, Booker T. Washington. Anybody know that school? And I became an accomplished pianist by the time I was a senior. So I'm off to college now, and then this is when I start my broadcasting career. But I want to just give you a couple little things that I learned about confidence in this whole little journey. There are always going to be things that we don't like, that are going to sort of nibble at us, if you will, about our confidence. And most especially, we don't like the way that we look. Because that's not the only thing, but that's one thing. When I've worked one-on-one with people and I've talked to them about why you won't get on video, they pick themselves apart. And they compare themselves to other people. And let's just be honest, you probably aren't looking in the mirror going, oh, I love my nose, oh, I love that spare tire around my waist, and oh, look at my booty, oh, all this is so good. When I turn on video, I look so fat. I know exactly what you all think. You tear yourselves down because I've spoken to enough people over the years that I realize they criticize themselves. You guys are mean to yourself. Now, probably not all of you sitting in this room, but a lot of us are downright mean to ourselves and have this self-talk going on all the time about what we cannot do, rather than what we really are good at, what we really excel at. Now, I just want to point this out, that this kind of proves my point that whenever we are looking at confidence, we're looking at it from external things. Oh, my job's going well, so I'm feeling pretty good. Oh, the market's going great, but I'm feeling pretty good. My marriage, my kids, my whatever, you fill in the blank. And the moment a thing happens externally, it crushes you. And you lose your confidence. But what I want you to understand is confidence can never, ever be about external things. Confidence is coming from here. And confidence is coming from here. And I want to share something with you. Since we've mentioned God a couple of times in here, I want you to listen to this. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, because your confidence is found in Him. Amen. That's in Jeremiah. That's God's word to you, my friend. Your confidence is found in Him. He is your paycheck. He is your provider. He is not your judge. And so your trust in Him is where you find your confidence. Here's 3 things I want to point out today about finding self-confidence in the storm and how authenticity is going to win every single time. Number 1, Tom has already touched on this morning. Don, Chrissy, I knew God was going to do this. I knew He was going to thread all of our speeches together, and not one of us knew exactly everything that the other person was going to say. And I'm finding a common theme here. Your self-talk matters the most. Self-talk matters the most. Somebody asked me one time, who is your greatest influence? So I'm going to ask you the same question. Who is your greatest influence? Think about it. When she asked me this question, I had my answer. And I told her my answer. And she said, actually, you. You are your greatest influence. I never thought about that before. And she said, because what you think about all day long in your head is affecting you and how you feel about yourself. You are your greatest influence. Instead of us thinking about this market is so slow, and maybe we feel a little bit uncomfortable and not confident about where we are in our businesses right now, instead of you thinking about this market is so slow, what if you did one little mindset shift and you thought about it this way? How can I create opportunity today? How can I create opportunity today? You know, when I met Don, I was helping Jordan and Estes run World Producers Magazine in Lansdowne, Idaho. And I had the privilege of interviewing over 800 top 1% to 2% realtors in the DFW Metroplex. And I did that in a 2.5-year time span, one-on-one. How amazing, how much things do you think you will learn interviewing or having coffee with over 800 people in 2.5 years? I met this one man who forever changed me. People often ask me, is there like one standout person? Yes, there was. This man walks into our interview. He's a top 1%er. I find out as he's reading me his testimony on his phone because he barely speaks English. He's from Nepal. He lives in the United States less than 2 years. And he's reading me his testimony that he and his wife had written out the night before. And he's converting his language, his native language, from Nepali into English in front of me. And I became so overwhelmed with emotion because I'm watching this man struggle to tell me his testimony. He's driving Ubers at night. He's coming home and sleeping 1 hour in the morning and then doing real estate during the day. And got himself into the top 1%, barely speaking English. And I put my head down like this because I acted like something was wrong with my eye or whatever. And I was trying not to cry because I was saying to myself, Julie, there can never, ever, ever be an excuse as to why something can't work. When I'm watching this man who has barely been in America chase after the American dream, when most of us in this room have been here all of our lives. And he taught me something that day about resilience and determination. And you know, a year later, fast forwarding a year later, we had this thing when I was with Pro Producers once a year called the eXp Awards. I don't know if any of you had the opportunity to go. It's amazing. But we had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people there. And at the end of the night, it had all cleared out. And I'm standing there chatting in a group, and I see something going on. And I look over my left shoulder. The room's empty, except this man, the one that I interviewed. And he was literally skipping in front of the stage while he had somebody else filming him because he was so full of joy about where he was. That is amazing. By the way, the last 12 months, we're in a hard market, closed over 40 million. Such an amazing man. I told him I was coming here today. And I said, Chandra, if you have advice for the people that are going to be sitting in the room as to how you continue to be so successful with the limitations that you had culturally and in language, he said this to you. He said, don't give up. Work your sphere, check in with past clients, keep learning, stay positive, keep showing up with energy. Confidence is contagious. And he didn't even know I was going to talk about confidence. When you stay positive, clients feel it, and it makes the process smoother as well. I heard a statistic, not around what Chandra just said, but I heard a statistic that over 70% of real estate agents don't stay in contact with their clients after the close of the transaction. Yet that's your greatest cheerleaders, your greatest referral partners. Stay in connection with them. When I think about two people, as I was writing this out and getting ready for today, I thought about a couple of people that had a lot of adversity at first, but just drove through it with determination anyway. One of them was Dr. Seuss. He's a very popular children's illustrator. By the way, I'm supposed to have a little clicker over here. Yeah. Let me see if it's gonna go. No, that's backward. Maybe because it was upside down. How about that? There's confidence as a choice. We're talking about mindset. Oh, I don't want y'all to see that yet. Okay, so I was thinking about Dr. Seuss, and Dr. Seuss was rejected 27 times before he got his first yes. 27 times, don't you think? What if that were to happen to you? 27 rejections in a row before you finally get a listing, or you finally get a buyer. Don't you think, maybe I'm not very good at this, maybe I should give up. And the other one was Thomas Edison. You know, it took you 10,000 times, right, to invent the light bulb, but he never thought about the 10,000 failures. Instead, he said, I discovered 10,000 ways it won't work. In all of that, we're always learning. Now, here we go. In broadcasting, when I first got my job, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I didn't know how to be a broadcaster. I threw it out there. I was like, heck yes, we're just going to do this. And if it fails, it fails. And if they say yes, they say yes. And snap, I don't know what I'm going to do if they say yes. So they did, and I didn't know how to be a broadcaster because when I went to SMU, they taught me how to be an excellent communicator. And I had so many classes in political science, I could have run for office. And I had to take a lot of history classes. They taught me nothing about presentation. I show up on the set. Come on now. I know you do it. You need to do it. Yeah, I show up on the set like this. I got big hair. And I'm starting to practice, right, just before I'm getting on the air. I better sound like a broadcaster, so how do you do that? So I'm writing out a script for the 5 o'clock news, and I'm practicing. And back in the day, I used a cassette recorder. And I push play and record at the same time, and I record my voice, and I'm reading this news script, and it comes out like this. Tonight's Powerball is up to $292.2 billion, and the greatest chances of you winning, really, the best odds of you winning are being more like struck by lightning than winning the lottery. And I thought, oh my God, I had no idea I sounded like such a southern hick. And so nobody on the news has accents. Have you ever noticed that? So how I learned, because there wasn't a plethora of coaches back then, is I listened to how they pronounced words, and I didn't say iced tea anymore. I didn't say window. I didn't say all. I had to learn how to say window. Not window. We can't do window and news. No, we can't. So I had to learn. Now listen, I had no self-confidence. I'm showing up in this, what? You can't tell that the sleeves are see-through like little gauzy things, but the big hair and the southern drawn, I had to work at it. My friends, I had to learn in front of thousands of people. You, my friend, can make a video and hit delete if you don't like it. You have all the power in your fingertips. Now, the other thing that I want to talk to you about is authenticity matters. People aren't necessarily going to hire the most top producer. They're going to hire the person that they like and the person that they trust. And you have an opportunity to talk to thousands of people every day on social media and not realize you're talking to thousands of people, but you are. And it works. I can promise you it works. I know some of you don't like social media, don't want to do social media, but are you willing to do whatever it takes in order to be successful in the market that we're in today? And it matters if you show up, people see you. I walked into a room doing a sales presentation just a couple of months ago, and I said, hi, my name is Julie Altimus. I was introducing myself, and she says, I know who you are. And I thought, oh my God, what did I do? And she said, I see you on social media all the time. I always see your videos. And I thought, wow. Like, wow. Because I don't necessarily have a lot of people come up to me and say things, but when they do, they do. And I was so glad. I just felt so blessed by that. So trust always out there or with your sphere of influence is going to come from authenticity. People are going to know whether you're being authentic or you're not being authentic. And if you remain intentional and authentic, this is when leadership truly happens. Because they're liking you, they're knowing, they're getting to know you, they're getting to trust you, and you're building relationship with them through your authenticity. You know, I did a video. I'm not gonna go down a rabbit hole here, but I did a video, like a little commentary on the Charlie Kirk thing the other day, and I did it with tears. You know how many times I thought about taking that video down? Because it's the only time on social media I was never smiling. And so often, I can't even tell you, probably 50 times I've thought about, I should delete that. I should delete it. I should delete it because I don't want to show up sad. I want to be positive and stay positive. And someone approached me yesterday and said, I saw your video. I didn't know which one he was talking about at first because I put quite a few out there. And then it became evident after he started to speak. And he said, thank you for being authentic. Thank you for sharing your heart. Not everybody is going to agree with you, not everybody is going to like you, but everybody is going to appreciate your authenticity. You know, whenever I have coached people one-on-one, and I get down to the bottom of their fears really quick, like we don't pansy around. I'm digging in there, I'm asking questions, I'm doing like a whole sculpt thing right in your heart, trying to figure out what is the fear that's holding you back. You know what the number one fear is? Anybody want to guess? What the number one fear is after I've coached probably hundreds of people now about being confident on camera. What's the number one fear? Y'all throw it out. What other people think, being judged by others. Comments. You know the whole thing about comments? Delete. If you don't like it, delete. If you like the activity that's happening under your feet, then great. But if you don't like it, delete. You have all the power in your little bitty finger. So really, there should be no fear at all, right? None. And so the fear of criticism. In fact, there was a police officer, now turned real estate agent, who was sitting in my workshop one day. And so we went around the room, and this is a 3-hour workshop, by the way. And at the end, we were like, okay, are you ready to do it? We're going to practice. We're going to do some things. We're going to put this in action. What's your plan? And he said to me, I am never going to post on social media, ever. And I was like, you just sat in a 3-hour workshop. You know, why did you say that? He said, because all my fellow colleagues in the police station are going to make fun of me. And he wasn't willing to do it. And he's still not on there. What a shame. We can't be so afraid of what other people are going to think about us that it stops us from showing up. We are playing too small, my friends, when we are so worried about what everybody else thinks. Who cares? Right? Who cares? Here's some final thoughts. And I have to say that I had to learn this and embrace it myself, walking through confidence phases. Because I've had things happen in my life that have knocked me off of my seat a few times. And I know that we all say that you should have confidence, but nobody ever tells you how. I can share with you what I did. One time I was just like really taken off my seat. And I had to write out 2 pages of declarations. It took 2 pages because that's how many things I didn't believe about myself anymore. It took me 2 years to believe all 2 pages. I said them every single day when I was on the military until I began to believe them. And I began to check them off one at a time, one at a time, one at a time, because I was picking myself up by my bootstraps all over again and starting over. We already talked about that, and we talked about that. Pause and reflect would be a good one. So we're going to wrap it up here today. If I were to look at your social media today, would I find authenticity? How would I find you? How are you showing up? Because if you're not showing up at all because you're scared of what other people are going to think, I hope that you will make that decision today and say, enough is enough. I don't care what anybody else thinks. I'm going to show up. I'm going to show up for my family, for myself, for my life. I'm going to stop playing too small, and I'm going to decide, because remember I said confidence is a choice. I'm going to decide that I have confidence today. Whether you do or you don't, in the action that you take today, your feelings will follow. I promise you. So I want to do this one thing right here. I want you to stand up, please. And I want you to turn and face a partner. And if you're all by yourself, in a group of three, it doesn't matter. Face a partner. All right, now I want you to give him a kiss. I'm just kidding. I want you to say this. I want you to say this. And when you're done saying this to each other, okay, you're going to say this at the same time. And when you're done, I want you to do the craziest shout ever. And if you don't shout loud enough, I will make you redo it. Okay? I want you to say this that's up here. There's only one me, and that is my unfair advantage. Are you ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2. Oh, and don't forget to shout after. All right? What kind of call do you want to do? 1, 2, 3. I love it. I love it. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. All right. So everybody's down. This is your challenge. I'm not going to leave the stage without giving you a challenge. Are you ready? I want you to make a 60-second video in the next 24 hours. And I want you to send it to your former clients with no selling. No think of me as a referral, no giving them value, although I always want you to give value. None of that. I want you to touch them, and I want you to make a generic video, but I want you to make it personal like this. Hey there, my friend, or hey you, I just wanted you to know that I was thinking about you today. Just wondered how the house was going, how your family is, whatever it is you want to say. I don't want to give you words. But at the end of it, I just want you to know that I value you and I'm thinking about you today. That's it. Why? Because we don't have to be selling all the time. It's more important that we're connecting and we're showing up with our authentic self. Can I get an amen? Amen. Woo!
Julie Altunas, everybody. Come on. Come on. Confidence, guys. Confidence. You got to have confidence in yourself. By the way, I'm going to put that up so that you can do that. I'm good. That's all right. I'm going to put it up for Julie, please. That's a freebie. Camera confidence tips, freebie. And then here's where to find her. Jennifer's already been connecting with her and doing all the stuff. She's been searching. Yeah, she's been stalking you for the last 10 minutes. All right, you got that? Nope. Okay, I'm going back. Okay, we're going to let you guys have one last shot. She deserves it. Come on, grab it. I love some of the smart ones that you're not going through the head. You just turn around and go, I'm going to do it there. I love the screens on all sides. All right, got that? And then here's where to find it in case you don't find her. You got Jim Gardner looking you up. You got Scott Schilling looking you up. I'm telling you, you got some big folks following you. All right, so let's make our journey into the next section here. How are you doing so far? How are we doing with this whole program? Pretty good or really good? Really good. How many of you already feel better about where you are in your world, in your life, in the market? How many feel better than you did when you walked in here this morning? Yeah. So what we understand, and I don't know if I've got a slide for this or not, it doesn't matter, but I will say that I had hung out with Jim Rohn for 8 years, and I don't know who he is, look him up, because he and Mr. Zig Ziglar were of the same era. They died passed in the same period. And they both left legacy that's unbelievable. And Jim said it's not what happens that determines the quality of your life. It's not the market. It's what you decide about it. Right? It's never about what's happening. It's what you do with what's happening. It's your constant choice. Decision, 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 decision. I'm going to bring up Brittany Stewart. She's going to bring up the panel. And I'm going to tell you, Brittany, first of all, she brought me up this morning, so you already got a chance to meet her. But Brittany's been in business a long time. Since 2004, I noticed a theme, right? Success takes You know, masterpieces take time, right? Masterpieces take time.
I'll take that as a compliment.
It is a compliment. I can see your role is that you've been doing this well. She's been a President's Club nominee, or an awardee. She's multi-million dollars. Of course, she does phenomenal business. She actually just, I found out the other day how much volume she does. I'm going to let her talk about it if she wants to, but she does a lot of business. This girl does a lot of business, a lot of units. And you know, when other people are saying this is the worst market we've seen since 1995, she's like, I'm not hearing it. I don't understand it. This is like killing it. So just know that that's all between your ears, and as Julie said, in the 18 inches between your ears and your heart. That's where the decisions are being made. And Brittany, I almost said Britney Spears. Oh my God.
I'll take it. Woo! I'll take it. It's Brittany. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a video of her wearing no clothes. That was pretty fun.
Well, you know what? But I actually introduce myself that way. I say Brittany Stewart, like Britney Spears, but not. They don't forget my name. Ron White would be so proud of me.
Oh, absolutely. So Brittany's going to lead us through a panel. She's got some great people coming up, including two people that I just know so all the time we're together, and so I'm looking forward to that. And I want to find out more about Daniel. So come on, Brittany, get up here.
All right. Thank you. Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Don. We got help for the shows. So you guys probably don't know this, but I get often asked very last minute by Tony King and whoever else to get up here and help out with things. And I don't know why I keep saying yes, but here I am. And so Dawn asked me, obviously we're speaking very intently about our mindset and what does lead evidence of success. And one of the things we like to bring is people who have actually been there, done that, not in real practicality. And so when Dawn asked me who I would like to have and who would come to mind for these panels, it was very easy for me. And I'm going to introduce these people. But first and foremost, I appreciate the kudos, Dawn too, but I am successful through other people. And that is the God honest truth. And there is a core group of people in DFW, you guys heard me share about Dawn, who really have pushed me to a very high level. So I'm going to introduce them not only for you guys to be able to share, but they are instrumental in my own life. Daniel and I cried together last week in the airport. Allison spilled wine on me at a very important dinner last week. And Nicole Keith, she's my 911, my life 360 in case I get kidnapped. She knows exactly where I'm at. So without further ado, let me introduce them. Nicole Russo, come on up. She's a powerhouse realtor and expansion leader throughout eXp. Yes. She's been licensed for a really long time, but she has a phenomenal organization through eXp Realty. She is actually an anomaly. She's from Plano. She doesn't have to use her GPS to get here. It's crazy. And Nicole's built her reputation helping agents not just close deals, but to build their wealth and purpose in their careers. I have a testament of that. And Nicole is graduated from the University of Texas at Austin. I'm not going to do the gesture because I think Alex and Brandon were setting me up for failure. That's not what they told me to take a bow. They said to take a bow. That's not right, is it? I'm not courteous. I knew it wasn't going to be. I didn't listen to them. She is a phenomenal mother of 3 beautiful children and an adventure junkie. Holy moly, I just lost all my fingers with Nicole last week. And she loves to mix heart and hustle together. And whether she's leading teams, guiding clients, or speaking on how to level up, she is all in, my friends. So welcome, Nicole Russo.
Looks great.
Yeah. Thanks, ChatGPT. All right, and next up we got Allison. Sorry, Nancy. Allison is a real estate influencer, an international keynote speaker, a leader recognized by Forbes magazine and USA Today. Her powerful work in building agents through leadership, and I love that. Allison and Nicole were both honored last week at Scottsdale for 10 years at eXp Realty. Allison is agent number 641. I will never forget that number for you, my friend. And she's grown her business to span 25 plus states and internationally. And her dual focus is coaching and teaching agents how to perform through her platform expert partners and leading her own real estate team with consistent results, mentorship, vision, and center. Welcome, Allison. And then Daniel was like, what am I going to talk about being in the right room and mindset? I said, my friend, you are one of the most positive, caring people in my circle that I've ever seen before. But I also learned a lot about Daniel. I often go out and meet people who know Daniel. I had a Porsche in high school. That's what they all tell me. I don't know. I haven't seen the Porsche. I haven't seen it at all. I saw the Tesla though. And hold on, let me flip my paper because I don't mess up on Daniel. He's got a lot going on here, you guys. Daniel is a second generation realtor. I love that. He's a real estate leader, investor, and team builder. Daniel is the founder of We Partners. We all know the Panda Pack. I know it was coming. He's a fast-growing global organization with over 300 agents at eXp, a co-leader, and a leadership group that's dedicated to developing the next generation of real estate entrepreneurs. With over 25 years, are you really, Daniel? 18 plus 25. He has shopping centers, investment strategies. Daniel's built not just portfolios, but he really and truthfully builds people, mentoring agents to scale from the first deal to seven-figure business. He served as the president of ARIA in DFW, and he is a big advocate for eXp's commercial division and recognized for all his commitment, collaboration, most importantly, culture and community. And above all, Daniel is a proud husband, a father, and he has roots in Hong Kong, and a mission to create wealth, impact, and legacy that lasts for generations. So, look at this dream team up there. Yes!
Did you graduate from
Right.
Realty?
No, he's side. He's side.
Oh, did you? Hey, but Daniel went to school. Do you guys know where Daniel went to school? Switzerland. Right? You guys are awesome. See, that's what I thought. I mean,
This is the camera guy.
and Daniel is also my personal photographer. I love doing this.
I wouldn't have any social media.
I told him my pictures look why did my face look so big? Is it my haircut? He said, I'm sorry, I used a wide lens. I said, well, don't use that again. Not on my clock, Daniel, not on my clock. Well, awesome. Well, I thank you guys for being here, but one of the things I want to share and take everybody through today is talking about, first off, self-love, and then growth, collaboration, expansion, and then your future self. So I'm gonna ask you guys some questions. Don't fight over the mics. Does everybody have a mic? Okay, perfect. But we'd love for you guys to share tidbits. And listen, we've talked a lot about confidence. We talked about a lot of fun things, but I want you guys to be authentic, the nitty gritty, and get down to it. So without further ado, what would you guys say in terms of self-love? What are some practices that you're doing right now that really check yourself to love on yourself? Make sure that you show up as your full person.
I guess I'll go first. When I think about self-love, has anybody ever listened to Matthew Hussey? Anybody know him? He's the cute little guy with the British accent. You see him on Reels. You can look him up. When you leave here, look him up. He has this awesome reel. He was on the Drew Barrymore show, I think. And he was talking all about self-love, and he said, imagine if you were given a human at the beginning of your life, and your sole job was to take care of that human. And he goes on to kind of talk about, a lot of us don't realize that that's our job. You know, we're raised by our parents, and then we get out in the world, and we kind of expect that somebody else is going to then take care of us, only to not remember that we are our own human. And if we remembered that, how would we treat ourselves? We probably wouldn't talk to ourselves a certain way. We probably wouldn't surround ourselves with toxic individuals who treated us certain ways, right? And he really talks about that. Loving yourself is like an action. You don't even have to like yourself to love yourself. It's actually you like yourself from doing the things that you're maybe scared to do, from the things that you succeed at in life. But liking yourself is kind of an emotion that you feel. Loving yourself is an approach. And that hit me hard. So I always wake up in the morning and ask myself, what can I do to take care of my human?
I love that.
Yeah, look him up. He's awesome.
Awesome. Anybody else have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think really recognizing that your value, my value isn't tied to performance or accomplishing things, doing things, and so taking time out to, listen to a podcast. I listen to a lot of things, listen to books, make sure that I'm around people who reflect myself back to me in ways that, when you're around people who love themselves, and you, if you're not feeling good, you put, phone a friend that makes you feel good, that reflects you back to you. So those are things that I do to make sure that I'm checking in and taking care of me.
Yeah, I guess, there was a conference we had at the eXp, I think in Orlando, and I led the speaking, and thinking about just being that one in your family, being that one And it really hit me hard, and just thinking like, how can I, go to the question of self-love, what do I do? You have to take the time to take a break. For us that are givers, I mean, we give so much to our teams and as a leader, sometimes we figure it out ourselves. And that's not good because we want, and sometimes we think it's selfish, I'm taking care of myself. We talked about this before. So you gotta take a time where you have like your peace time, and you gotta figure out a day. So Sundays after church, I get a Thai massage, just like this panda needs like some massage. So that's what I like. This is my self-care. My 90 minutes. Someone's stepping on me in my sleep, But you gotta do that. You gotta figure out what that is. Whether it's reading a book, whether it's like nature. You got we were talking last week. I said you just is with God. Take that time and plan it out. Don't just wait till something happens, right? Especially with health. Take that time to figure out the schedule, right? Put it on a schedule, and it's not a selfish thing, right? Sometimes as leaders we feel, it's selfish, but it's not, because at the end of the day, you have to look at the long term of what you're doing, because to help people. I mean, so if you have that mindset of growth, you gotta take care of yourself before you grow. So.
But the oxygen mask is on you first. That's right. And Daniel gave me some really good advice. We were speaking about that. And it's hard in real estate because we're always around people. We have kids, we have lives, we have all these busy things. And Daniel gave me some really sound advice that hopefully he doesn't mind that I shared. He said, you just need 4 minutes. Start with 4 minutes a day of quietness and solitude. And of course, if you're religious, we were talking about speaking about for 4 minutes. So I really appreciated that. So Nicole, you mentioned the podcast that you listen to. Allison and Daniel, what are you guys reading? What do you listen to help keep yourself in check and also geared towards growth?
So right now I'm listening to a book called Letting Go by David Hopkins, and I absolutely love it. It's I think in real estate so many times we get attached to performance, and that is attached to our self-worth and our love. It's how I think we are valuable. And that book is all about, letting go and not being attached to the outcome and being enough in your own heart and in your own mind. So that's what I'm listening to at the moment. Love that.
Daniel?
More podcasts. I'm not a reader. I have to listen in the car. Tina, if you're watching this live stream, she gave me a book.
She is.
Yes. she gave me a book from is it Brian Bouchard?
Mm-hmm.
And so Brandon Bouchard, and just listening to him, that kind of got me on the podcast. And Glenn Sanford, our founder of the company of eXp, also he has a podcast. So just making sure that when you have the time in the car, you're not doing anything, use that time, right? And at night, sometimes I'll put it on, and just having that constantly going and improving yourself, figuring out what that is. Because if you're not listening, you're not improving, you're not learning new things, guess what? You're just kind of stagnant, right? And what happens when you're stagnant? There's no growth. So in order to grow, just make sure you're listening to the right things. And with these great coaches that we have access for free. So.
Yeah, I like how Nicole said about the baby child. I tell my kids all the time, garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah.
So what are you really listening to? What are you absorbing?
And I know we're gonna eventually get to like who you surround yourself with matters, but I'm so fortunate. I'm at this place in my life where I'm exchanging good podcast episodes with the people in my life. Like we had a topic come up and I was like, guys, I just listened to an amazing podcast about this. Share the podcast. And my friends actually listen to the podcast that I share with them. Or Alice and I will be talking about something and all of a sudden she shares with me like the whole ChatGPT dialogue of her and ChatGPT about a topic that has to do with me. And it's like, surround yourself with people who are going to level you up and are listening or looking up or reading content that will also help you and have conversations around that stuff, 2 books that I'm listening, I don't really read, I listen. But every time somebody that I admire mentions a book, I download it on Audible. So we were just in Phoenix and Leo mentioned getting stuff done. I think that's the name of it, getting stuff done by David somebody. But amazing, practical, tactical book about what you do when an idea comes your way, how you file it, to come back to later and decide how you tackle that, add it to your to-do list, and actually getting stuff done. So Leo, I mean, if you guys know who he is, even if you're not with eXp, I mean, he's an amazing leader. And anytime he says read something, I'm gonna read it, I'll listen to it. We were on a Zoom recently with one of my other mentors, Gene Frederick, and he mentioned this book, which is super applicable to what we're gonna talk about today. The title is Chatter, and it's about the chatter that goes on in your head. So it's about what the positive talk kind of sounds like, and what the rumination and anxiety thoughts can sound like, and how do you control those types of thoughts into your head to make sure that you can kind of move forward. And it gives you, what I love about it is it's not just defining terms of this is what happened, this is the good thoughts, this is the bad thoughts, but it actually gives you like actionable things on what to do, how you can deal with that negative voice in your head that says you can't do something. And it gives you practical things to go forward. So those are 2 books I'm digging into right now.
I love that. And you were speaking about the room and that you're in. So particularly, who are you guys and how are you getting in those rooms of people that will influence you to grow you and towards collaboration upward?
I think, well, one thing I can say with the company that we're with, it's fairly easy to be in those rooms and to remember that how important it is. If you're around people that play small, you tend to shrink. And when you are around people that have self-love and are here to serve and serve, the industry and the people they're around, then you also, again, it goes back to being a mirror of yourself. So I think it's just showing up, coming to learn if the room is bigger than you, to learn and to be of value, and to connect in an authentic way is the most important thing.
And I think getting yourself in rooms that you feel uncomfortable, that you feel like maybe you don't deserve a spot in there, really helps you to grow. Yeah. What'd you say, Nicole?
Been there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so moving on for wealth and the power plays, what's one limiting belief that you guys have carried over in terms of successing? About whether it's your worth or saying like, I'm not known enough to be in that room. How do you get past that mindset and that mentality?
I have an example. Last year, I was invited to speak on a panel at eXp, and you guys, the lineup to the panel that I was on, we're talking the best of the best in the industry. Veronica Figueroa, Kurt Shewell, if you guys know these names, John Q. And I felt like the outcast. Like it was like, that Sesame Street, like, which one of these things is not like the other? I'm not like the other. And so, and it was a very vulnerable topic too. It was scripting. It was like it was called the script battle. Like I was gonna get on stage and do get out with these.
There was actual boxing gloves and there was wrestling WWE out there.
Yes, and so I really felt unqualified to be in the room. And then so I did a couple of things. The first thing I did was like I knew I was gonna be asked to do dialogue and script. So I was like, I better practice. So I was calling John, so you want to role play with me? So you want to role play? I was role playing with anybody that got in my presence for the 2 weeks, like leading up to this room that I was about to be in. So I came prepared. Like they weren't going to throw something at me that I couldn't swing back at in this room. So that was the first thing that I did. And the other thing that I did is I had to remember, what am I telling myself? And I had to remember, it's almost like you have to remember who the F I am. Like, wait a second, I've had more conversations with this type of script and dialogue than I think almost anybody, and I forgot that. Even these big players probably haven't had as many conversations that I had, so I had to just remind myself, actually, if you didn't belong, you probably wouldn't have been passed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's just, it's about redefining it, but also I do believe in, if you don't feel qualified, what can you do to more qualify yourself? So that's what I was saying.
And you crushed it.
Thank you.
She did awesome. She did. I think your order says so.
It's not in my word.
No, I'm not. I'm saying your size speaks for itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Your success speaks
there
for
I
itself.
go again. I'm doing and telling myself I'm not.
Daniel or Allison, do you guys have any?
Yeah, I mean, also, went to a film conference 4 years ago, and I realized, everyone has the opportunity. when you're in a platform, when I was a broker owner, I had 2 franchises before. The brokers all got together, the agents were in their own little room. But when you come to a room where everyone has the same opportunity, and we all own this together, it changes everything. And when I thought I had everything, and then I realized there was more out there, and you tell yourself like, I'm gonna speak at a Bill Conference one day. And I did speak. I spoke in Boston this year. And then eXp Con, I also spoke last year too. And guess what? I said I'll be on stage with Brett. Guess what? I was on stage with Brett on a panel. And you have to tell yourself, you have to want it, right? I told myself 4 years ago I want it, and I told myself, 6 months into a platform, I said we're gonna grow internationally. That's what we did, and we're still doing it, right? And then of course, a lot of updates have been happening this year, and it's just been amazing. And you can never imagine that that's even better now. But back then, you would think it would be hard, but it's not. It's your belief. So just whatever room you're in, make sure that you're in the right room. And if you're not in the right room, change the room. That's not how we look at it. And don't be in a small room, because big things happen at bigger events.
Yeah,
Bigger rooms. So.
And I'll put an exclamation point on that. I think you asked about, how do you deal with the limiting beliefs? I think that's attached to the fact that you might need to perform or do something or say something or be something in order to be enough. And the fact is, just showing up and being present and being yourself is enough. And when you remember that, then you don't have a fear in the room. It's not even about anything except for what's in your head and those noisy messages. Drunk monkey. Yeah.
And somebody told me this once, if you're afraid of how you're gonna kind of come off, like, I don't have anything interesting to say, these are all like interesting people that are about to be around, then just ask really good questions to those interesting people and you'll fit right in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Just learn from them, ask them questions, be purposeful while you're there to walk away with good stuff, but by asking questions, you actually build the connection with the people in the room. They'll like you just for asking questions.
I think just being authentic and caring goes a long way, right? When you talk about growth and recruiting and all this, but if you don't care for the other person, you don't find solutions, you're not authentic, guess what? It's not gonna happen. So you really have to go in and really look at what your why is, what it is, and when you're in this group, what's the purpose, so.
Apparently we like this question. When Nicole was saying ask questions, I would translate that into come to learn, because being in a room to learn and not, again, have to perform or be something that qualifies you for the room, come to learn, ask the questions, as she said.
I love that. What about a time when you told yourself, you hyped yourself up, you thought, ask these questions, has there been a time where you guys have failed? And how did you get yourself kind of out of that funk to go back towards your motivation? Maybe not just a room, but maybe it's a goal that you set for yourself.
Yeah, there have been times when I've gone on stage where I'm like, I did pretty good. There have been other times where I'm just like, that sucked. Like, bomb. like, I just wanted to leave the event and go hide in my hotel room for the rest of the time. If you know that, just me?
No, just you, Nicole.
Okay, just me. But it's about reframing it in your head and saying, number one, I'm just proud of myself for putting myself out there in the first place. And number two, what can I learn from that so that will never happen again? And so in that way, it's become a healthy thing. You just reframe of, oh, I needed to be a lot more prepared for that, or whatever it was. And so that's my example. I'm sure there are lots of other ones, like sales calls that I've made, that you get off and you're like, you want to hang up that phone immediately because you know you're just failing immensely and you're just like, let me get off. But again, it's just like, okay, next, you just have to be able to hit that reset button and say, that doesn't define me, that's not gonna be the next one. Maybe I got rejected there, but if I can just find the courage to get to the next one and get a win, the whole day will be saved, right? So I think it's about reframing things as learning experiences and part of the process. I've learned through time not to be obsessed with outcomes, not to be obsessed with whether or not I bombed or succeeded, but just to be obsessed with the process and fall in love with the process. And I think reframing it in that way has helped a lot too.
I would also say when you're feeling down and you feel like you flopped or failed or lost a sale or a listing appointment or whatever, it's important to go to self-care. And whether that's, calling a friend, we talk about proximity is power, but proximity with people that believe in you and that reflect you and know you, call that friend, go for a walk, get a panda Thai massage, right? That's why I've heard that comes in my head.
Yeah.
Is that a Thai massage? It is a Thai massage. He's not Thai, but he gets a Thai massage.
Panda massage.
Oh, okay, this is G-rated. This is G-rated. Allison, something that I asked you to speak of that really hit. Allison left me on a stranded island without music, and that is like my personal torture. But when I came back to joke with Allison, because we're friendly, about how upset I was that she literally left me on a deserted island by myself with no music, she said something, and I just would love for you to share with them what you said. I hope you remember. Can you?
Well, I thought it was one or two things, but it's the Ho'oponopono, you can have Ho'oponopono, yeah, I can't do that. It's a Hawaiian saying, and it's if you guys have been to Tony Robbins, where I got it, and it's so powerful. And it's I love you, please forgive me. Hey, I got it wrong. I always read the second one.
Oh,
I love you.
I recorded you and you said it.
Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Please forgive me. And I forgot the first one. I'm sorry. So it starts, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And thank you for tolerating that. Oh, I got it. So let me say it again.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Please forgive me.
Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. And if you think about it, they go in the right order. And that's all about love and reflection. And the one I thought that you were going to ask me about, which I will say, it took me a long time to get this, you guys. I did not understand what it meant. And it's love is looking into the eyes of another person and loving yourself. And if you guys try that as an exercise with other people, when people get it, I've actually done it as a gift with somebody where we're talking about self-love. It's powerful. So I won't make you stand up and do that together right now. However, do try it and feel what that feels like. Love is looking into the eyes of another person and loving yourself. You understand how centered that is? You'll understand in leadership, you can't lead, you can't be bigger, you can't do the things that you want to do until it starts right here. And you really start to understand that. It took me years to even know what the heck that meant. So
I love that. And I like the Hawaiian one better because I couldn't be mad at you. But imagine if we told ourselves that too.
I threw that, she was so pissed.
Well, she did spill 9 ounces of wine on my white pants last week, so I still love her. I love you, I forgive you, thank you, whatever it says.
I'm sorry. I love you. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Okay. No, we're joking, but I think that it has a lot to do with the way that you grow is by being open, not only and kind to others, but also to yourself. So I love that. And one of the things I want to leave you guys with is how do you gauge when something happens? I think one of the good thresholds is, will my future self appreciate this? Will my future self love this? And that's a really good threshold to judge what we are participating in and what we're not, especially when it comes to self-talk. So I love that. All right, so Dawn's kicking us off stage here, but I want to personally thank each and every one of you guys for coming and sharing. And you guys, they're around all the time, so if you have questions you need, well, I am who I am because of a lot of these people on the stage. So thank you so much for coming to this.
Yeah, thank you.
Our panel on self-love. Give them one more round of applause. Come on. I love that you guys are, we had a rough morning, right? Some of you got here late. John Israel came in, and it's a pleasure to meet him. I'm about to bring him up on stage. But John didn't, he got here later, and many of you were in the middle of the traffic, and I kept hearing there's traffic coming from both sides, because the accident was almost right here, right? So there was something going on, and everybody was late. So I'm going to ask you, first of all, I wanted to say this to you. We want to provide all the value we can. And I would have made this day till 4 o'clock. I would have made this day till 4 o'clock. Nobody voted for that on the committee. And they said, it's just too long. People won't stay that long. I said, if they get value and they're getting good stuff, they'll stay as long as we want. So I think we can do that. But I'm going to say that we ran in at 12:30. I'm asking for 12:45. Can we make that work today? Can we get 15 extra minutes just so we can really pour everything in? You guys okay with that? If you're in, say I'm in. Amen. All right. So we're gonna have a couple things coming up. I do want to say, actually, Nicole, do you want to do this really quickly? We got a couple. I don't know. Somebody, quick! Hi, Tierney, come on. And I want to bring up somebody else who's been here. And by the way, if you enjoyed the bagels as much as I enjoyed the bagels, you got to thank our friends over at Inspect 360. So our friends at Inspect 360 are at the back. I'm going to bring Eli up in a few minutes. Come on, Tierney. What is his name? We need like a 45-second thing on my part.
All right, guys, if you've ever been to Mission Arlington, you'll know that this will be a great event. They give back to the community in so many ways. They provide services for free, medical, dental. They give away things at Christmas time to people who can't afford to get gifts. So it's a great place. We're all gonna meet up. We're gonna have t-shirts October 7th. What's our time? Oh, that's your phone. I'll give the time. I'll give it to us so I can remember what the time is. I think it's 10 to 1.
But if
And
they
then-
go to that, we'll find out.
Yeah, if you go to expntx.com, you can get the link. It's 10 to 1. Oh, 9 to 1. 9 to 1. So it's in Arlington, right by UTA. Amazing place, so hope to see you guys there.
Talking about this?
All
Talking
right.
about this.
Okay. Bill, are you talking about the, okay. Go to expntx.com, you'll see all of this. But we have Finish Strong in October. It's gonna be right here in the same room, October 29th. So we wanna make sure you guys come to that. You guys know we always have codes where you can come to this at no cost to you. We want you to bring guests. We wanna finish this year strong. We started, how many of y'all were in the room in January for our Game On event? Okay, you know, we do this monthly. This is gonna be like an end cap to the Game On event, ending the year strong, just like we started it. So be here for that, because we know that our first quarter of next year is completely dependent on how we finish this year. So we need to finish strong and not take the foot off the gas before the holidays. But speaking of holidays, we have our holiday party, save the date, December 11th at Glen Eagles in Plano. We've had it there for a couple of years. Last year we had it there. I think last year we had it there. But we want to see you guys there. You can bring guests to that as well. Scan this. We try to get it as inexpensive as possible to make it happen. So I want you guys in that group too.
And then Eli, come up here, quick, run. Get up here. Eli is with Inspect 360 and my friend Lance Donahue are down back here. And so give us a quick, first of all, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
no
you,
problem.
Mr. Dawn. Give him a big thank you.
How you doing today? I'm Eli, I'm the general manager with Inspect 360 and now Enviro 360. We're your full service home commercial and now mold inspection company.
Love them all.
We've trained up a really good group of inspectors. None of them are new, they're all experienced, and our main goal is to help you move seamlessly through the next part of your transaction. Not to add any friction, we know how home inspections can be, so we want to be able to explain everything to a way that your client can understand it, and our reports you get them same day. We can't get them to you that day, we get them first thing in the morning, but our goal is same day, so give us a call, and thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for being here. Awesome. Thank you. All right, before I bring up John Israel, and honestly, I gotta say, it was honored to have Tom here. This was like a major bonus that we got John Israel. John is what you might call a major role in doing some really big things right now. I want to reflect before we leave. I want to reflect on two things. One is, it's been said all day long from different ways. We become the people we're around. We become the people we're influenced by. We become the people that we're around the most. Say it however you want to say it. What I know is that being in the right rooms is always important, and for most of us, we're not willing to put ourselves out there to ask to be in the right rooms. Right? If there's something going on, you want to be in there, figure out a way to get in there. Okay? It's really important for you. Know that you're enough and you belong there. So whenever you see a room that is like, oh, I want to get in that room, if you're playing with a small group, you will play small. I just recognized I did a video last week. I was playing pickleball with some people that I don't even deserve to be on the court with these guys. They were slaughtering me when my game came up, and the next day I played, and guess what? I'm better. Because when you play with better people, you play golf with better people, tennis with better people, pickleball with better people, you play any life with bigger people. Our friend Chaz Wilson wrote a book called 5+1. It's a great book, by the way, on referral networking and all that. One of the things that I will tell you in there, he said, I was reading Andy Andrews, and I'm reading Jim Brown, and I'm reading these people. And he said, I call them, I find them, I find ways to get to them. And they take my calls. And they had lunch with me. And he said, what I realized is they became friends. And pretty soon the people that I was admiring became my social circle. And my life completely changed, because when you get in those kinds of rooms, your life adjusts and changes with it. So I just really want you to get that. And this whole thing that Jim said is, you become the people that you're around the most. I believe that you guys have got to honor yourselves enough to get in the right rooms. Quit playing small. Proximity is power. I'm going to skip this little section here because I really want to get to John, and we did start behind, and I want to make sure we make up for it. And John, if we're done in time, I've got some things I want to drop on you guys. We'll have some truth bombs and some golden nuggets and all that stuff at the end, but I want John to get the chance to get in here. So when I met John, I met him through another close friend, and he said, you got to hear this guy. So I looked him up, and he's Mr. Thank You. First of all, Mr. Thank You. I love that. I'm a gratitude guy. Mr. Thank You. So here's what I would tell you about him. He turned a personal social experiment into a global movement known as Mr. Thank You. John Israel is an author, coach, keynote speaker, creator of the Mr. Thank You Project, which became a best-selling book and a TED Talk. And you got to see it. It's really, really good. His mission is to help professionals become irreplaceable, which is what he's talking about today. And I love the fact that when we come from a place of being that good, that I'm irreplaceable. He's been on the Good Morning America show, he's been on ABC News, Fox News, and he's worked with clients at Harvard University, from there to Salesforce, which means he's dealing with some really badass people. And they're all listening to what John has to say, and today you get a chance to do that too. John Israel, come on up here. Thank you, sir. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. We probably do. No? No? Yep, that's exactly what we're gonna do. You do that while I do this. You got it.
Good morning. Good morning. Actually, is it afternoon?
No, not yet.
7 minutes. 7 minutes. Just a quick show of hands. How many of you have we met at a previous event where you've seen me speak for MDFW Gatorade? Awesome. Wonderful to be here with you today. So, as a business coaching consultant, one of my favorite things is to ask somebody when I meet you for the first time is, why do you do what you do? Why did you get into the career path that you're in? And people usually don't answer. And then I ask the question again, well, why is that important to you? And then why is that important to you? Why is that important to you? And the interesting thing is if you ask somebody the question why enough times, we actually all say about the same thing, which is the reason I do what I do is because I believe it's going to make me happy and fulfilled. Well, if that's true, then let me ask you a really hard question, which is what if the career you committed to, that you thought would bring you everything you wanted, actually became your greatest source of stress and anxiety? Because we get a lot of that. I come home from work one day, and my wife is sitting on her couch, and she's nursing our infant son in one hand, and handwriting a baby part of the other hand too, so people who support her during her pregnancy. And I come in and do what I typically do at the end of my workday, which is complain. everything that's going wrong with the business. And I don't know how to tell you what happened next, but this was one of the most beautiful scenes that I had ever experienced. And I couldn't even appreciate it. Because I was so stressed and overwhelmed from my job, honestly, I had a hard time appreciating anything. And I don't know how to tell you what happened next, except for to say that I believe God spoke to my wife that day and said something that I'll never forget, which is, if you can't appreciate what you have now, who's to say you'll be any happier when you finally get what you say you want? If you can't appreciate what you have now, who's to say you'll be any happier when you finally get what you say you want, when you build the team the way you want, when the market shifts and changes and you get the interest rate that you've been desiring? If you can't appreciate what you have now, who's to say it's going to be any different later? I had a problem. Now, it was a problem I didn't have a name for at the time, but I do now, and it's called perpetual discontentment. We're going to fast forward a little bit here to it. Perpetual discontentment, which is the never-ending feeling that what is isn't enough. Now, I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand if you also suffer from perpetual discontentment, because if I'm just about every entrepreneurial person I meet typically does. But it's not always a bad thing, right? Like, it's not always a bad thing to not be fully satisfied with what you have or where you're at in life, because if you're never fully satisfied, what are you going to do? You're going to work harder. You're going to work on your systems, your process, your listing presentations, all for the end benefit of the user, the customer. But if we're not careful and this gets out of hand, perpetual discontentment will also prevent us from ever truly enjoying this life we're working so hard to create. So this moment brings up my two greatest fears in life. Number one is that I will die alone. Because honestly, who wants to be married to a miserable growth who complains all the time? And two is that I might need to quit my job. Because it was causing so much stress in every other area of life that matters to me. I should know it was worth it. So now, why do I bring this up here? Because the real estate industry is inherently stressful, yes? Yes. Absolutely. What's stressful that's going on in the real estate industry right now? Well, liberal, we have housing affordability, right? Even though we live in the great state of Texas, we're still struggling and challenging with that. We still have interest rates that haven't come down quite enough to get all of our buyers off the fence to 200 properties. And then on top of that, we still have the NAR settlement stuff, which maybe you guys have figured out your process too, but it's still kind of a stressful thing that we're seeing a lot of debates going online. But fortunately, all of that just stays at work, right? When we come home, all the stress goes away, yes? Of course not, right? What happens when you get home? You have your family's needs, your spouse, maybe your children, you have those to take care of. Then we have political divisiveness causing families to no longer talk to each other because of somebody that they voted for or what they choose to believe. So if you're feeling an extended experience of stress, anxiety, and overwhelm now, more than you've ever experienced in your life, it doesn't make you crazy, it makes you normal. And so how do our stories connect? So what I did professionally and still do to this day is I run a company called Mr. Thank You. So what is Mr. Thank You? We are a strategic gifting company. So real estate teams, mortgage teams all over the country, we work with them to help them build a gifting strategy for how they love on and appreciate their most important relationships. So I am like a professional Santa Claus. Like it's a real job and that's what I do. But it's just like your business, which is inherently stressful, right? We have payroll, we have regulations, we have all sorts of things that we have to deal with. So my job is also inherently stressful, as most everyone's career is. And so the interesting thing, and I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but what I find that's so challenging being a small business owner is that the topic of today's message is called becoming irreplaceable. How do you create that uncommon loyalty with your clients, your team, and your VIPs or referral partners? And I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but what I find is as my business was starting to grow and I was getting more clients, it starts to just naturally become more challenging to stay in touch with everybody that I cared about. And then you keep doing this over and over, you're building a business, you're getting more successful, and then you look back and this next thing you know, you're driving through the neighborhood of a house that you sold and you notice another agent sign sitting in the front lawn of one of your clients. Like everybody in here knows the pain of losing an important relationship. And so arguably, I was in the industry, I was in the business of client retention, I was helping send out lists, but we were experiencing the same struggles as well. Because there's this tug of war that we have every single day in our business. Like, I know I need to be selling, I know I need to be getting deals closed, but I also know I'm supposed to be staying in touch with people, and I've got this tug of war of like, how do I be engaged with people when I'm also just trying to do my job? You guys feel that? It's pretty overwhelming at times. And so there was this irony of ironies that I realized that day, which is that I was the most ungrateful gratitude salesman on planet Earth. Which is a weird place to be. And so I hired a coach to start working with me, and I believe in coaching, and it's a great thing to have. Most of my coaches throughout my life are all about like the metrics, the numbers, the stats, all those things. And I think that's important. But this guy was different. He asked me bigger questions. He said, John, what's your why? What's your vision? What do you want to be remembered for? What do you want to be remembered for? That's my question for you. And so I didn't really have a good answer, so we took some time, and eventually this is what we came out with. Is that who we are at Mr. Thank You is to elevate the level of gratitude on the planet. And I remember coming up with that statement, I felt so proud of it, but then I got kicked in the gut pretty quickly when my coach shared with me this quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson. It's one of those quotes when you hear it, you can't unhear it. Here's how it goes. Excuse me, I cannot hear what you are saying because who you are speaks so loud. Now, what I love and simultaneously don't love about this quote is that it challenges us to be consistent with our words. It challenges us to not just say, hey, this is who I am, this is what I care about, but to prove it in our behavior. And the problem was if you went out and asked 100 people who knew John Israel and said, hey, what do you know about this guy? You might say some nice things like driven, successful. But you know what they would say? They wouldn't say grateful. They wouldn't say appreciative. And they certainly would not say happy to describe me. So then how can that be? How can I be this guy who says he's about elevating gratitude on the planet, but yet I don't embody it in my life at all? This is a great question for you. How does somebody know what you value without you ever having to tell them? And the answer is by how you show up every day. So my coach says, John, so this is really simple. What we need to do is help you find a habit, a routine, a ritual to live out this value of gratitude that you say matters to you. What's a moment or experience that you've seen gratitude in its purest form? And I thought about that moment all those months ago when I came home from work and I see my wife nursing our infant son in one hand and handwriting baby cards in the other hand as people who supported her during her pregnancy. I thought, well, what if I do that? Not the nursing part, but the handwriting card part. Like, what if I make a commitment to handwrite cards every single day for a year just to see what might happen to my life and my business? That became the genesis of what is now known as the Mr. Thank You Project. And here's how that broke down. So there were 4 rules to this Mr. Thank You Project, and here's how they worked. Number 1 is that I would commit to handwrite 5 thank you cards every single day for 365 consecutive days. Had to be handwritten, couldn't be a text or a video. Rule number 2 is I could, every day resets at 0. So what this means is I can't skip 3 days and write 20 cards in a day. Right? Because if it's a habit, you should do it every single day no matter what, right? Rule number 3 is that I could write a max of 3 cards for any one person. Now this is because I know myself and I make good things to write a card to. I might write the 75th thank you card to my mother, which who knows? Maybe she would appreciate that. But I also thought, if they kept going to the same people, they'd probably lose their impact and their significance. Now, the 4th rule is interesting. It's just around accountability. By the way, how many of you have ever dealt with a professional coach before? Like a real estate coach, life coach, business coach? Okay, quite a few. I think we should see more hands raised. I think it's the powerful thing to have. Because one of the things that a coach is there for is accountability. So he says, John, what happens if you miss a day? I thought I had a good answer. I said, okay, for every day that I miss, I will donate $100 to charity. Don't forget about that. He looks at me and says, add a 0. And I said, excuse me? you want me to donate $1,000 for every day that I miss writing my 5 cards? Does anyone else here think that's a little absurd, by the way? Well, see, he says, John, check this out. I don't want you to have to donate any money, but let me ask you this. How likely are you going to donate $100 or several $100 to charities this year anyways? I said, yeah, we kind of do that in the pilot process. So he says, okay, then you're giving yourself away out. If what's at stake every day is $1,000, how many days are you going to miss? I mean, what would you say in that scenario? 0, yes, that is the correct answer. You're not going to miss a day.
So then he says, then what would you like to do? So the fourth and final rule of the Mr. Banky project was $1,000 to charity for any and every day that I missed writing my 5 Banky cards. Now, when you do the math on this, 5 cards times 365 days is 1,825 letters of appreciation in 1 year's time. You don't need to know everything that happened to realize that if you made a commitment like that to express love, gratitude, and appreciation every day, multiple times a day to different people, you would become a different person by the end of that year. And that's exactly what happened. And while I can't show you every story that came from that experience, I do want to focus on 3 particular areas that are relevant for you, which is number 1, how do we create uncommon loyalty with our clients? How do we create those relationships where they would never consider working with another agent? 2 is how do we develop unrecruitable teams, right? Because when you think about it, that's one of the things in our businesses is we have an opportunity to grow and build by building other stuff. And 3 is how do we activate A-list referrals from our client database, because at the end of the day, we are running a business, and somebody's got to sell something to somebody. So how do we build that? And what I didn't expect is that this project, while being very altruistic in nature, was actually going to become a masterclass in human connection and understanding what every person wants inside of a personal or professional relationship that lasts. And so I'll share you the basis of that framework, which we call the hierarchy of human connection. These are the 4 basic emotional needs that every human being wants inside of a relationship. So I'll cover them briefly: seen, safe, supported, and significant. We have time to go through all 4 of them. You might get 2 or 3, but you're going to get a lot of value regardless of what you want. And if you forget, and if you fall asleep out for the next 30 minutes that I'm talking today, I'm going to summarize everything with 1 sentence, which is that great relationships aren't meant to be, they're made to be. Right? Great relationships aren't meant to be, they're made to be. There's something that you have as a participant in a relationship, especially if you're the person who's financially incentivized to have great quality relationships, it would make sense that you have systems for how you engage people and keep those relationships alive. That's what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit and go to day 3 of the Mr. Banky project. So at this time, I lived in Southern California. We were actually moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And when I was going to the airport one day, there's this interesting question people bring up. They say, wow, this sounds like a cool project, John, but who are you writing your cards to? I don't even know 1,825 people personally well enough that I might write a card to them. And that's a great question. What you would learn is being genuinely grateful every single day of your life is extremely hard. Because gratitude is not a natural state of being. Gratitude and happiness are distinct for a very specific reason. You do not need to teach a child how to be happy, but you do need to teach them how to be grateful. Now, why is that? Because we're born with something psychologically called a negativity bias. What is a negativity bias? It is a proneness to look for the problems, to look for the threats before we ever notice anything that is good or right. And it's actually built into our psychology from when we were cavemen and cavewomen. We lived in the jungle. We hear a growl behind a rock. We wouldn't think that it's a cute little kitty cat. We would think sabers and tigers. We would run away, and we would live to see another day. So we built this proneness to looking for it and to assuming the threats all around us. And you know what? It worked. It helped us survive for generations. So here we are, in modern day America, we don't really have to worry about saber-toothed tigers anymore, but yet we still have this proneness to noticing and looking for the threats and the problems all around us. And you guys know it's true, right? Because when you wake up in the morning, you open your phone, and what's the first thing you see? Here are the worst things that happened on planet Earth in the last 24 hours. Good luck at work. Don't bring any of this with you. But it's hard because we're so emotionally distraught when we see negative news, because we're prone to look for it. And I ask myself, well, why is that the case? Why are we still in this modern day world? We don't have to be so focused on what's threatening our lives, but yet we still look for it. And I think this is the reason why, which is that pessimism creates the illusion of safety. Pessimism creates the illusion of safety. We think that if I'm constantly focused on and looking for the problems and what's going on all around me, it's going to keep me safe. Well, there is truth to that, isn't there? But what's the other side of that coin? Is that it prevents you from seeing all the good and everybody showing up in a powerful way every single day right in front of you. So I'm at the airport, and I walk into my gate, and I see at the Chick-fil-A right by my gate is the pilots for my plane. And I think, who might appreciate today, it's gotta be the pilots. So I realize I have a problem, which is I don't know these guys. How do you make somebody that you don't even know you've never spent time with? Well, when I learned that, I couldn't tell you I was doing this at the time, but there was actually a framework that goes into writing someone a very genuine and authentic thank you card, like what I needed to know to be honest with what I wrote. And what I learned is that actually what it takes to do this with anybody is the same process that goes into engaging with a brand new buyer. It's the exact same process that goes into how do you connect with somebody at a deep level in a short period of time that you're considering onboarding to your team. We call this the rapid relatability formula, and here's how it goes. Story, significance, struggle. Instead of explaining it, I'm just going to demonstrate it. So I walk up to these pilots, and I say, hey, I never get to meet the pilots on my plane. Do you guys mind if I have a seat? They look at me and say, sure. So I sit down with these reluctant pilots, and the first question out of my mouth is, man, I'm so curious. I've never met the pilots on my plane. What's your story? How does somebody become a pilot? Here's the fascinating thing. When someone starts to tell you their story, inadvertently what they're starting to tell you is about their value system. They're actually telling you about why they made certain decisions in their life up to this point. That's a really valuable thing if you're learning how to connect with somebody or help them make decisions in their own lives. So they start telling me their story, which as little boys, they saw an airplane for the first time and they thought, that is awesome, I'm gonna do that. Then they get out of high school, they join the Air Force, they do that for a couple of terms, they get out of the Air Force, they're like, man, I love this, I'm gonna become a commercial airline pilot. So these guys are essentially living their childhood dream. And thought, you know, that's actually pretty cool. Second question, significance. What do you love about your job? What are you most excited about? You know, if you're connecting with somebody for the first time, it's important to ask them, hey, what are you most looking forward to? Like, what's important to you in selling this house? What are you looking forward to in moving companies? Like, what's important to you about that? Here's a great question, especially if you're a recruiter, which is, what are the top 3 goals for the next 5 years of your life? Because if somebody answers that question, they're essentially telling you how to frame what you're going to talk about to serve what they want most in their life. So when I said, hey, what do you love about your job? They start talking about all the perks, the travel, the places they've been with their family. And one of the pilots kind of puffs his chest up and says, you know, a lot of people like to brag about having the best corner office in the tallest building. But let me tell you, nobody has a better corner office than we do at 30,000 feet. And I thought, that's pretty cool. Third question, struggle. What's the hardest part about what you do? What's the most difficult part about being you? Now, most people actually like to shy away from this question because we don't want to talk about problems or negativity. But here's the interesting thing. If you're talking to somebody, especially in the context of business, and you say, hey, before you make this decision, what's the biggest thing you're afraid of? What are you most worried might happen? Because when people answer that question, they're essentially telling you, here's my problem. If you can solve it, I'll work with you. So I ask these pilots, what's the hardest part about your job? The energy changes. And they talk about all the same things, which is all the events that they miss back at home. Birthdays, anniversaries, special events. And then one of the pilots gets a little excited and says, oh, not this year. This is the first time in 12 years that I get to be home for a Christmas day. My heart broke for this guy. How many of you in this room have a greater appreciation for the pilots who fly your planes just hearing the answers to those 3 questions? Great, so no one's told me I can ask those questions to anybody that you meet. Maybe here at the event, maybe later on today or Starbucks today. Because ultimately, how much does this cost? $0. It's just about being intentional with the time that you have with the people in front of you. So we board the plane, we take off, I'm sitting in my chair. I don't even have to think about it, but I lay my thank you cards out, and they basically wrote themselves. Here's what it said. Dear pilot, I'm sure it's strange to receive a thank you card from a passenger. But as I'm boarding the plane today, I'm thinking about how much I miss my family on this trip. And then I realized, this is what you do every day for your job. I can't imagine how many birthdays, anniversaries, or special events you sacrifice for your work. Not to mention the hundreds, if not thousands of hours you spend cockpit training for your job, because nobody becomes a pilot by accident. All of that has some bad weather, a slightly lumpy landing, and then have people complain about it. So whether you hear it enough or not, I just want to say thank you on behalf of myself and everybody on our flight. We'll look at the card. We're actually very similar cards because there's 2 pilots on the flight. We land in the next destination, so they're still in the cockpit, so I get to basically hand them their cards, and they accept them awkwardly, as most strangers do, when you hand them the thank you card. And then I jump on another plane to do the exact same thing with 2 additional pilots. Okay, so 2 different flights, 4 different pilots, 4 different thank you cards. I don't normally do this, but at the time, I only had my business stationery with me, which has my name, cell phone number, and email physically printed on the card. This is what was mind-blowing. Within 24 hours of landing in that destination, 2 out of those 4 pilots personally contacted me to say thank you for the card that they received. One went on to say, you know, John, in my 20 years of flying, I have never received a thank you card from a passenger. And I thought, that's crazy. How is that even possible? These guys have such a big, significant, important job, and no one's even taking the time just to say thank you. I thought, geez, if that's the case with these guys, with such a big, important job, what about everybody else in their careers, in their relationships, in their marriages? There's a huge appreciation deficit in the world. So now how do you apply this in a business context? I think this is how it goes. We call this the appreciation principle, and here's how it goes, which is that curiosity is the precursor to appreciation. And appreciation is the birthplace of empathy. With empathy, we develop compassion. When we have compassion, we have the ability to literally connect with anyone. Why was Martin Luther King able to do what he did in the world? Why was Mother Teresa able to have the impact that she had? What did they have more than those people? They had compassion. Not because of what they could give, because they understood the purpose of their life was to be of the highest level service to their fellow man. And you know, I think sometimes early in our careers we get this. We're excited to engage and just connect with somebody who's like looking to buy a house. And then eventually, over time, when our life has been beat up by disloyalty, we start to get a little hardened in how we connect with people. We stop trying as hard to engage, and we start to take the business rather than going out there and seeking it and engaging in building relationships. And so I was thinking about, how can I apply this in my own life? So I just want to give you like a practical way. It's actually really fun. This has never happened before, but this is involving somebody in the room. So after an event a while ago, I happened to meet a gentleman named Brian White. Everyone here is Brian White. Okay, so Brian, we meet after an event, and he's like, hey man, you seem like somebody I'd like to know. Let's get together. Right? He invites me over to his co-working space, and we sit there. And here's the interesting thing: like, we're all business people, right? And you've all been to like networking events and experiences. Have you ever been like at an event like that, and like you felt like you were being prospected? By the way, I'm not talking about Brian. I'm saying, like, and I guess it's felt that. Like, you've been at an event, and you can tell there's a moment when it's pretty clear you're not somebody's prospect, and they start to dart their eyes around, looking around the room. Like, doesn't that feel disgusting? And you're like, I didn't feel that at all with Brian, which was very unique. And what was interesting is we were having a great conversation, and I was going through, my processes, and his processes are very connected. And so we were going through, here's an important thing about making meaningful connections, is I like to listen for energy. Listen for when people get really excited, or when they get really upset. And when I was talking about your story and your life and your business, one thing that Brian shared with me was about the story of his wife. He seemed to really be endeared, really love his wife. And I'm married, I'm a big fan of like happy marriages, so I was like, man, your wife seems amazing. Can you tell me more about, like, how'd you guys meet? So then he starts to tell me their story. And it's kind of a crazy story, and you can correct me later if I'm wrong about any of these points, but this is one of the most fascinating things, was that Brian was traveling, and he happened to be was it San Antonio, or what state was it?
We traveled through Dallas. She lived in Austin, and I lived in Florida.
Okay, so they were in Dallas. And while they didn't know each other, and they're at the airport, and while being at the airport, her airline went out of business. Raise your hand if that's happened to you before. Like, you've been at the airport and your airline was not like, no, we're delayed, no, like, we don't exist. Like, I was like, what how? And then so in that process, like, they went having a conversation, the organization was called Visa Airlines. And they went having a conversation with the airport, exchanged phone numbers, and they did long distance for a while, eventually they lived in the same city, and they got married, and they started a family, and now they have successful several businesses. And I thought, man, that's such an interesting and unique and special story. So whenever, as a gifting professional, I would like to look for ways to give something that's emblematic of a conversation. And so here's a great writer-downer, which is that a gift is an artifact of the relationship. A gift is an artifact of the relationship. They don't need to have your logo plastered all over it for them to remember you. They just need to know that it was special and unique enough that you thought of them specifically. So I went online and I went to vistaprint.com and I found these two little copy mugs. And I went on Google and I looked and found the old logo of that airline called Mesa Airlines. So I made a little gift for Brian, and here's all it said. It had the Mesa Airlines logo and a little quote that says, "Sometimes a breakdown is just the start of a beautiful story." And I sent this off to Brian, and again, I want to remind you, like, when we were having conversations, like, there was no clear pathway for us to do business. So it makes sense for a lot of people in life that this is just where the relationship ends, right? I know a ton of realtors. He already has his gifting solutions figured out. There's no real clear pathway for us to work together. But there was just something about that connection. I was like, I like this guy. I'm going to need to know this guy for the rest of my life. So I need to do something for him. And I would never normally do this, but can you share a little bit of what was that experience like when you got that gift for him?
Yeah, sure. It was shocking.
Well, yeah, it was shocking because I got it, and John didn't follow up to find out if I got it. He wasn't looking for kudos. He didn't have to because I reached out to say, hey, I got it. This was awesome. But it was just a blessing. It really was touching. And they're still in my office, and I still have them, both the thank you card that's behind that and the mugs. That's awesome.
And again, this wasn't, I'm trying to get Brian to do something. It was just like, I care about this person. So you have to understand this. It's not about the card. It's not about the gift. It's about the relationship. That's why those 5 love languages are so effective. Because you're simply finding a way to demonstrate you care about this person in a way that they feel experienced. Now, by the way, I don't necessarily think everybody's going to give. I think that anybody can receive a handwritten card or a thoughtful gift and still feel the love and appreciation of the time you put into it. You just have to put that thought into it. It's not just a thought that counts, it's the thoughtful thought that counts. That's what you have to think about. So you might consider this, right? For your own business, for people that you engage with, like what's a way that you can connect with them, even if it's not clear that you're going to do business together, but you feel a demonstration that you care about this relationship more than just the business. Isn't that who you want to do business with? When the time is right? Absolutely. And by the way, Brian and I have had many conversations since then. He helped me through like a conversation, and probably was a coaching call I had taken for, to help me make a really major business decision. We had a huge merger with my company and another company a few weeks ago. And it really came from a consultative conversation that Brian and I had together. And so I'm grateful for his friendship. And there's a lot of people like this out in your life, in your world, that could be that person for you, but sometimes because they don't immediately seem like a prospect, we don't allow ourselves to engage with them as deeply as we could. So that was day 3. You can imagine 362 more days of a project like this. And I can't proclaim that every day was as epic as day 3, but it was really a demonstration of the first principle, which is to feel seen. What does everybody want in their life and their business? They want to feel seen. They want to feel known. They want to feel respected. They want to feel valued. Right? So that's why a thoughtful gift for handwritten card, when you ask the right questions, you know how to make it relevant to specific things that they spoke about, and they actually feel that at the people. So a couple months go by during this Mr. Thank You project, and one of the powerful things that came about that I wasn't expecting was around something I think very relevant for our industry right now, which is the concept called emotional resilience. And emotional resilience is about our ability to metabolize painful experiences into positive progress. And so instead of explaining this, I'm just going to kind of give you a silly story that I think is going to make sense. So I'm a graduate of a small university out of Washington State called Gonzaga University. How many of you guys heard of Gonzaga? Okay, great. We're mostly known for one thing. What are we known for at Gonzaga? Basketball. Thank you. Yes, we're known for basketball. So I'm an alumni. I did not play for the team, but I'm a huge fan of the Gonzaga Bulldogs. And so the Gonzaga Bulldogs this year, during the project, for the first time in school history, made it to the NCAA National Championship game. This is huge news for anyone across the team. So it's Monday night. We're watching the game. My kids got their little Gonzaga onesies on. We're sitting on the couch. And we're watching the game, and we're winning back and forth. And nail biters like 7 different league changes during the game. And in the final minute, the Gonzaga Bulldogs are up. Then we lose by 3 points at the end of the final quarter. And I'm not a huge sports fan. And I was always interested if you ever watch the Super Bowl. They showed a video of the winning teams downtown and the losing teams downtown, right? The winning team, like everyone's like throwing confetti in the air, and they're like, doing all sorts of celebration, and the losing team, everyone's like flipping over cars and like trash cans on fire. I never understood it until that day. Like I was so upset. My team, my baby, loses the biggest game in school history. What do you do with that? And so it's 11 o'clock at night. My wife puts her kids to bed, and I'm going into my office because I haven't written any thank you cards yet for the day, and I still have to do that. So I lay my 5 thank you cards out, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it because I was so upset that my team lost the big game. I couldn't harness an ounce of gratitude. And this brought up one of those important questions that I had to learn how to answer during that year, which is how do you be grateful when you don't feel like it? And this is a great place to share with you the definition of gratitude. This is from Dr. Robert Emmons. Here he says, gratitude is the emotion one feels when receiving a gift or experiencing something as a gift. Does that make sense when you think about it? If somebody gives you a gift unexpectedly, it's not even your birthday, you didn't do anything for it, how do you feel? That joy, that excitement you feel in that moment, that in essence is gratitude. But there's another part of this definition that's actually more important, which is the experience of something as a gift. Now, what does that mean? Well, let me take you back to a moment of life that may not be your favorite moment in history, but it's that first time, that first moment that you were madly in love. You're that little 12-year-old person, you held hands with at school, and you're like, we're going to get married one day. And it's over. Whatever age you were, 12, 14, 25, 35, whatever. How does it feel when a significant relationship like that ends? It's awful, right? It's like, men are terrible, women are terrible, life is over. We're so emotionally distraught in that moment. But yet, interestingly, with time and perspective, we can look back on this previously painful experience and we can say, I'm actually really glad that happened. I'm really glad that relationship ended because when it ended, I was able to learn a lot of things about myself that I couldn't have learned any other way. I'm actually really glad that relationship ended because I met somebody else that I married and started a family with. So I'm actually grateful in this moment from this previously painful experience. So it brings up a really great question, which is how long does it take somebody to feel gratitude from a previously painful moment? And the answer is as long as it takes you to find the gift. And in every life experience, there is a gift, but it is your job to find it. How many of you in here know that some of the greatest character qualities that you possess have come from going through the hardest times of your life? Great, then why are you resisting it? Why are you saying that whatever you're going through right now, you shouldn't be going through? Because what you're going through right now is exactly what you need to be going through. For you to learn the things that you need to learn that you can't learn any other way, for you to become the person who you were eventually meant to be. Whatever exactly where you need to be right now. So it's 11 o'clock at night. My team lost the big game. I'm so upset, but I'm racking my brain. Where's the gift? Where's the good? Where's the positive? It's like a light bulb goes off. It's like, oh my gosh. I didn't watch my team lose the national championship. You know what I just witnessed? I just witnessed arguably the best team in my school's history play the game of basketball. Like, that deserves to be celebrated. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write a handwritten card to every single player and the entire coaching staff of the Wisconsin women's basketball team. I told them that was about 35 people. So for the next 7 days, I spent hours a day, every single day, looking at everyone's specific game highlights, what they did to contribute to the team, so that every part was hyper-specific to their contributions. Even the registrars who didn't play that season to say, hey, championship teams are not made a championship game, they're made every practice that led up to it. So thank you for helping our team become the best in school history. Now, it was crazy, because it wasn't months, weeks, or days. I'm talking minutes from upset, anger that shouldn't be happening, to feeling pure and authentic joy. I thought, man, this is powerful. How can we apply this to business? So we have a number that we pay attention to in our business, and this is around something we call a notice of cancellation. You guys ever deal with a notice of cancellation? Ever being two people, is that it? Raise your hand if you ever dealt with a cancellation in your life or your career or anything. All right. So it's not fun to deal with, right? It is pretty painful. So we actually built in a strategy. The moment we would receive a notice of cancellation from one of our clients, we would automatically send them a thank you card. Nothing special, but it's something simple. Hey, we just want to say thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with our team and give us a chance to present our offering to you. All we know right now is not the time for you to be moving forward with us. We just want to let you know it was wonderful to meet you. as a person. If there's anything that we can do to help you out in the future, feel free to let us know. Sincerely, Mr. Thank You Team. We see this after every cancellation. We tracked it. Here's what came out. 50% of those cancellations came back and rebought within 6 months. Think about that stat. Money you don't lose is money that you make. And we all have the experience of having to cancel something. Have any of you guys ever overcommitted and had to tell somebody no? Or have you ever bought something and had to return it to a store? Raise your hand. No one enjoys doing that little walk of shame, you're walking in and you're like, oh, it didn't fit, right? Nobody likes to cancel something. Let me ask you this. How many of you have ever canceled something like that and then received a thank you card from your salesperson? Rarely do I see hand raised, but what if you did? What would that tell you about the individual? Well, here's what it would tell you, which is that results show skill, but how we handle problems demonstrates character. Results show skill. There's a lot of talented realtors in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. It's not a shortage of talent. It's not about having a perfect business. It's about understanding when challenges and problems occur, how do you respond? Do you blame? Do you push responsibility on someone else to save face? Or do you actually own it, fix the problem, and move forward? Because isn't that the basis of loyalty? Why does loyalty exist? Because we have a question inside of our brain, which is how will you show up when things are hard? And if every one of you, or many of you, have an experience of leaving an organization or no longer working with somebody because you saw how they handled a problem. Yes? And I bet the opposite is also true. I bet many of you have people you're extremely loyal to because you've seen how they handle the hard stuff. And if you're a leader, if you're a high-performing salesperson, this matters more than just your competency. It's about your character and how people experience you behind the sale. So something interesting happens. 2 months go by. I forget I even do this whole thing with the content because it's like Groundhog Day and straight healing, right? It's like, wake up, 5 more cards. Wake up, 5 more cards. 2 months go by, May 21st, my birthday, all days. I'm out to dinner with my wife, and she pulls an envelope out of her purse. She says, oh, by the way, something should appear in the mail today. And it is addressed from Gonzaga men's basketball. And I open it up, and inside is actually a handwritten card from Mark Few, the head coach of Gonzaga men's basketball. Some of you guys don't know who this gentleman is. He's one of the most winning coaches in all of NCAA college basketball. He was one of the head coaches of the U.S. men's Olympic team that won the gold medal last year. Dude makes tens of millions of dollars, meaning I could not have paid him to write this. And that is the point, because the best people have to give you cannot be bought. The best referrals somebody has to give you won't come just because you have an incentive program. The best loyalty from your team doesn't just come from your comp plan. It comes from seeing who you are as a person and as a leader. And I hope what you've seen so far and what we've talked about today, that this project, whether you choose to do something like this yourself or not, isn't just about writing a lot of cards to a lot of people. It's actually a demonstration of character, how you will show up for people no matter the situation, because ultimately, that's what we want from them. Isn't it? So I'm just curious, since we've been hanging out for a little bit, how many of you have thought of at least one person who deserves a secret thank you from you? Raise your hand. Okay, great. How many of you noticed that we not so secretly put thank you cards on everyone's table? Did I say that? Okay, and you see a pack of thank you cards in the middle of your table. If you could pass those around. Whoever's got the biggest reach. Pass those around. All right, Lance. Oh man, we need 4 here. Is there anyone else who needs it? All right, great. Up in the front. So I'm going to give you guys some instruction here. A little instruction. So I'm going to give you the framework for a legendary thank you. How do you write a legendary thank you? I believe that there are 3 things that are important. Number 1, start simple. Hey, I was thinking about you today. But ABC, what does that mean? Attitude, behaviors, challenges. Let me clarify that. There's a difference between recognition and acknowledgement. Recognition and acknowledgement. Recognition is saying thanks for what you did. Acknowledgement is saying thank you for who you are. And the difference is, if you think back and you go to that conversation about the pilots from the plane, it wasn't just, hey, thanks for getting us to the destination safely. No, it was, hey, thanks for everything you do, everything you put up with, and everything you sacrifice, and get us to the destination safely. That's acknowledgement. So ABC's attitude, focus on their character qualities. They're loving, they're generous, they're patient, they're kind. B stands for behaviors, which is what do they do? Be specific. Generic thank you cards don't have that same impact. When it's just like, George, you're great, you're awesome, I love you. It's very fluffy. You want to be specific. Hey, thanks for showing up and doing this thing with that client I know you didn't get paid for, but like that's why I love you, because of what you did right there. So look for things that they rarely get acknowledged for that you know they probably should. C is for challenging, which is acknowledging whether they deal with, handle, or overcome, and still do what they do. So I'm going to give you about 5 minutes to do this in a couple things. Number one is, so I did write a book on the project, and it's funny because one of my friends read it, and he said, John, I love about your book is you took pictures of all the cards that you wrote, and I was really worried about my handwriting, and then I saw yours. And I said, I don't know what the compliment is. He said, no, what I mean is like your cards weren't perfect. Like you'd scribble words out, or like your lines weren't perfectly even. I kind of needed to see that because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. So if that's you, like don't worry about perfect poetry, don't worry about perfect handwriting, just write whatever you're writing. I'm going to give you about 5 minutes on this. I'm also going to put a little survey up here. So it's a QR code. We always do a short survey from our audiences, just kind of hear what you took from today, what your takeaways were. So we're going to take that 30-second survey. When you're done, don't do it yet. Wait till you're done with your card, and you can take that survey. Also on that survey, is have a question that if you're part of a group or organization that you think would value this message, you can make a note that they're going to be involved with that as well. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. My only request is that we keep the talking to a not talking. That would be great because some people, they really just need to think through what they're going to say, so they're just talking at the table can actually distract them. So we can just kind of keep the room totally silent for the next 5 minutes, and then when you're done with that, you can scan the QR code, take the 30-second survey, and we'll wrap up. Go ahead and start now. 2 minutes left, 2 minutes left. No rush, by the way. Take as much time as you need. Take as much time as you need, and then when you're done, feel free to scan the QR code, take the short survey, and then we'll start to wrap up. All right, got about a minute left. Start to wrap up your thoughts. If you need more time, though, take as much time as you need. There's no rush. No rush at all. I'll be respectful of y'all's time. I know we went a little over with your permission, so I'm going to start wrapping you guys up there. If you need more time, take as much time as you need with that, to just end your own time. So I'd like to wrap things up by saying thank you for doing that. You're welcome. Because you didn't have to. And I think that's the point, is that what goes into relationships has to come from your heart, has to come from you. It can't just become an obligation. And people can feel that. That's how a lot of banking cards are. That's how a lot of gifts are for clients. That's a lot of relationships are. They start to get transactional. And my goal today is hopefully to give you some insights and ideas of how you can make your business more relational, so you can be building a business you love and also lets you act. So where do we go from here? Right, so I finished my project, wrote my 1,800 thank you cards, which was fun. But I'll tell you, like, what's more fun than what I did was seeing what you guys do. Because I get emails every single day from people all over the world who heard about this project, and they've started their own social experiment. We've had individuals from like over in Germany, China, like all sorts of places start their own thank you project. We've had entire schools start their own Mr. Thank you project. We had one school of 6th through 8th graders, and they had 800 students doing 30-day challenge the month of November to write one card a day every single day. Could you imagine that? 800 12 to 14-year-old kids writing handwritten cards. Isn't that insane? Well, so the other person I want to call out real quick is Brandon Tomlin. So Brandon can stand up real quick. So Brandon actually met, how old are you now, Brandon?
I'm 25 now.
25. How old were you when we met? 18. All right, so we met at an event because his dad, JD, gave me my book years ago. And then what'd you do with it? I'm curious.
So I was a freshman at Texas A&M, and we were finishing up, that's right. We were finishing up the school year, and I read your book, I read the whole book, and maybe I hadn't gone to one of your speaking events yet. But I was inspired. I was like, man, I'm gonna do this. I didn't do 5 days, I just did 3 a day, so I did about 1,000 cards. I wrote cards to all 400 people in my dorm my freshman year, and then I just started writing cards to teachers. I hopped on airplanes, every airplane I did, wrote 2 cards to the pilots, awkwardly asked the flight attendants, hey, what's your name? I'm writing you a card. They're like, that's so weird. But we really did make some special connections. And it turns out we had some mutual friends with a couple of flight attendants and stuff. And it really does you write those cards and it just makes you feel so good about yourself, about the person writing it, that bonds you together. And so ever since then, I've just been able to keep up with John for the last 7 years now. It just flown by, but you've been an inspiration, so I'm very grateful.
So a lot of people say, like, well, how can I get my kids doing this, right? Well, here's my encouragement, just do it with them, right? For intentional purposes, not just for the gift that you got, not just because they're coming to the birthday party, but actually do it because you care and that's what matters to you. So I'd like to go ahead and wrap things up today, really how we started. Because we started by saying, why do you do what you do? And why do all of us do what we do is because we believe that in some way, shape, or form it's going to make us happy and fulfilled. Well, if that's true, if fulfillment is the finish line, gratitude is the starting line. Because if you can learn to appreciate what you have now, you actually become somebody who is happier when you finally get what you say you want. Hey, gratitude today. Yeah, I'll be at the inspector's.
Okay, so you guys, you got to get his book. You got to get. We already got the QR code. Get in there, fill that out, get the survey done, please, please. John Israel, everybody, was that phenomenal? We gave signing books at the back there at Inspect 360's booth. Good seeing plants or friends and really each other for good number of years. And I'm excited to get back there and see that. I've got quarters on the stage and tennis balls for anybody who wants them. Okay, we got that. We got that going for us too. How was today for you? I want you to think about right now, go to your notes, what 3 things will you do as a direct result of being here? It could be a way that you're going to treat yourself differently. It could be a way that you're going to treat clients differently. It could be a way that you're going to plan something. By the way, having a growth plan for your growth. What are you going to do in October? What are you going to do? We're still only away through September. What are you going to do in September to purposely grow you? What are you going to purposely do in October to grow you? What's your focus, right? Well, I got to get my finances together. Well, what are you studying? What are you learning? Who are you learning from? What are you going to take in class? What podcast are you going to listen to? Like literally today, take action that's going to move you into something further than just being here going, oh, that's really cool. Because that being really cool is just, John investing in you, I've invested in you, the panel invested in you. We're all investing in you, and we say, we believe in you. Even when you don't, we do. When you need somebody else to say, I believe you can do it, call me. I'm not hard to find. When you need encouragement, get with somebody that's here today. Maybe somebody you met at your table. I just want you to really walk away from this, not just thinking that was wonderful, that was special, it wasn't John great, or it wasn't Julie, thank you so much, by the way. I want to go back through, I know Tom left earlier, but to have Tom Ziegler here was phenomenal. To have Christy back there, Christy Morales, thank you very much, my dear, for being here and contributing so much. Julie, thank you. Panelists, Nicole, Allison, Daniel, there we go, and Brittany, thank you so much. John, you did a phenomenal job. We're sitting there at the table going, he's really good. He's really good. That doesn't translate, he doesn't need the applause. What he wants is to impact you, which means you have to take action. So let's make sure that we walk out of here today. I think the biggest thing for me, and next month we're going to have another session, and it's going to be about kind of ending the year. This how do you finish the year strong so you start the next year, right? I have a slide which I was going to share, and I'm not going to because of lack of time. But it's if you get to January 1st and you're in the starting blocks of a race, it's January 1st, you're going, go. Okay? You've already lost the race, right? And by the time you get to February, you're stretching out of the blocks. By the time you get to March, you're finally at full pace, and you've wasted half the year. And the truth is, right now, you are in the place where you can gain momentum so that on January 1st, you are at full pace. But everything starts today. So, October 29th, first of all, October 29th, make it on your, mark it on your calendars, and be back here in this room. You'll get the notices about it, you'll get stuff about it. But you know what you do? You wait. You wait. If nothing better comes along, I'll be there. How many are glad you made this event? Okay? So there's nothing better. You have to be here. Right? We're so desperate to get a deal. What if I get a deal? Who will do it every time? Freaking A, it's your business. You control your schedule. Be here. Jim Rohn said, wherever you are, be there. Focus, on point, on purpose. This is a choice. That is somebody else pulling you on their priority. You want to have a life that's yours? Then this is where you need to be. You need to be in the room with these people. You need to be in the room with those people. People like John, people like Tom, people like Julie, our panelists. That's who you need to be in the room with. One more listing. It's just another listing. I know it's $15,000 or $20,000, whatever it is. Doesn't matter. It'll be spent. But your life is changing because you're here. Does that make sense? If you're getting to say amen. Amen. All right, I just had to say it. We're in Texas. All right, guys. Listen, thanks for being here today. We really appreciate it. John, thank you so much. Go back, grab your book, join the plan, back here to see John. Run back. By the way, if you did not get on a single thing for coaching for a month for $97, you are cray. Okay?